Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Hello, this is Henry Kissinger, and you are listening to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip to nerd and pop culture. Am I done? Can I go? It's very hot.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Great. I am so glad that we spent all of our budget on getting those cameos from hell. That is awesome.
You're welcome. I will use that money wisely.
I thought I was listening to Tom Hanks in the Elvis movie for a second there.
I was going to do my jab. It's like, hey, don't forget the Mai Tais, Henny.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to remind everybody that Henry Kissinger is rotting in hell. Thank you.
Wait, was that the money you guys got from my kidney?
Yes.
We did have some left over.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got you a new microphone, and also we got to talk with Henry Kissinger in hell.
No, Bianca got me a
Yeah,
new
Bianca
microphone.
helped us get that kidney out of you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And replaced it with a microphone.
You know,
Yeah.
I should have seen the signs.
Yeah.
The bloody knife.
Who are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm Ethan Skinner. Who are
Who
you?
the fuck are you?
I'm Jody Kite.
I'm James McCarthy.
Who am I?
Who
I'm
are
Brady
you?
Davis.
Okay, there. Thank God.
You're Jean Valjean. Okay.
And now our 3-hour rendition of Les Miserables.
2, 4, 6, 1. For some reason, I can't think of any more songs from that thing.
You get
like
nothing for nothing.
I like to go up to drama majors and go, yes, I enjoyed The Miserables.
That's a good one. Yeah, because theater kids wouldn't like that at all. Shit, I am hosting this.
Yes.
That you are.
Ethan.
Me.
What have you been doing?
Today, I picked up a Hulu subscription.
Okay. Just picked it up off the street.
Not only
Did
for
you watch it beforehand?
Was it a stray Hulu subscription? You got some like cat food and brought it in.
It is a rescue. Yes.
There you go. All right,
Ethan
there we
said,
go.
"Don't do it." Bianca was like, "Oh, it looks so cute." Look at him.
You're going to be an old Hulu lady at some point.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. There's a lot of stuff on Hulu that I've been wanting to watch.
Sure.
Did you pick it up because of the movie that we watched?
Not only because of that, but I really want to watch The Bear.
The Bear.
I need to
watch that. Phenomenal. That's probably
I really want to watch that. There's
that's
also
2 seasons. They're
The
great.
FX shows are really a driver for Hulu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is that's probably my favorite series.
Wasn't that
last year.
was Breaking Bad on FX originally, or what was it?
No,
on?
that was AMC.
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 That's right.
There's also a couple movies on there I want to watch. Jojo Rabbit's with that.
Jojo Rabbit's great.
My co-manager has been hounding at me to watch
It is
since
very good.
I've been working.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Sam Rockwell, right? I think
Yeah,
so.
he's in that.
He's phenomenal.
I love Sam Rockwell.
Besides that, I've been playing some more Spider-Man 2. I'm very close to just 100%ing the game, and so at this point, I might as well just try and get all of the PlayStation trophies for it.
Right on.
Get that platinum trophy.
Get the platinum trophy.
Yeah, get them before the DLC comes out, and then you don't have all of the trophies.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what they did with the first one.
I have only 2 platinum trophies on PlayStation. One is for Final Fantasy 15, and the other one is Tekken 7. I want to stress something.
Okay.
Of the fighting games, Tekken is nowhere near my favorite.
Yeah.
But I've got the platinum trophy for it.
There's a video out of Brian Cox explaining the story of Tekken.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a platinum trophy for completing Skyrim, and I did say completing Skyrim.
wow.
Damn. I have no platinum trophies.
I have 1 platinum trophy for Infamous Second Son.
Okay.
I think of all the games I've attempted to 100%, that's probably one of the ones I've had the most fun with.
Nice.
I just my attention span just goes out the window when I have to do just little menial tasks.
Well, I mean, when I tried for the platinum trophy for Skyrim, I was like already like 75% there just by playing the game a lot.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, I want to fight these like legendary dragons. They don't start showing up to like level 70 or something. And it's
That's when the
random-
real game
and
begins.
it's and it's random too.
So I also picked up another game for the PlayStation. I picked up the deluxe edition for Lies of P. So
Okay.
So
okay.
The Souls like Pinocchio game.
Souls like
Yeah.
Pinocchio, yes.
I've heard
So-
good things about it.
So after I get done with Spider-Man, I'm gonna be devoting
Jumping
probably
on
all
that.
of my time into that.
Looks like it. I love the way the game looks. It looks really cool.
I love the art direction.
I love the way Bloodborne looks. I'm just terrible at Souls games.
Yeah, I want a Souls like game to be like to have like a bright color palette one day. Just
Code Vein is sort of like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is kind of anime.
It's an anime Souls like.
Yeah, but I'm talking like Sakura and almost.
Right.
That's what I want.
Gris,
Yeah,
but Souls like.
yeah,
Gris like Souls like Gris. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
yeah.
Other than that's really all I've been doing.
I'll go next. Fuck it.
Okay. Go
All
for
right,
it.
So I
Go
watched.
for it.
So I watched a couple of movies. Some pretty interesting, crazy movies. The first one was came out last year, called Saltburn.
I've been seeing that pop
been
up
seeing
on
lot of
Prime
stuff
a
about
lot.
it.
It's on Prime. It's free on Prime if you have Prime. It is directed by Emerald Fennell, who also directed Promising Young Woman
Okay.
a couple of years ago. She's also the pregnant Barbie in Barbie.
Oh, gotcha.
She's friends with. They're all friends with each other. Women. They're all friends with each other. They all know each other.
I don't know how much you know about women, but I'm gonna tell you right now, some of them are not friends with one another.
Yeah, they're either-
And you got to be very careful
Yeah,
when
they're
that situation
either
comes
they're either
up.
really good friends or they're really really not good friends.
Yeah.
There's no in betweens.
It also helps that like half of Hollywood was in the Barbie movie. So
Yes,
There are a lot
the
of
other half
people.
was in
Was it
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
So it's a movie starring Barry Keoghan, who was in The Green Knight. He was in Killing of a Sacred Deer. He was in Banshees of Inisherin. He's always playing like a weird. He was the Joker at the end of the Batman, although you don't see his face.
that was, my apologies. That was my ringtone.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, I thought you had like a wind chime that you'd snuck in here.
No,
Or you just won a trophy.
We've been doing this
my
for 3
apologies.
years, and you can't be professional.
Hey, this is the
Jesus
first time
Christ.
this has happened to me. Okay.
Yeah, it happens with Jay shit all the time.
Yeah.
So, starring him, it's also starring was it Jacob Elordi or Lordy? He's in Euphoria. He's also Elvis in the Priscilla movie, the Sofia Coppola movie. Basically, they're two guys in college in England. And it's like a prestigious college, and Barry Keoghan's like kind of lower class, and he's like a fucking like his dad's has been knighted, so like super rich, and he becomes friends with him. Barry Keoghan's character is like super awkward. He's playing a very Barry Keoghan type. If you've ever watched any of those movies, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he kind of becomes friends with the guy. And over summer, he goes to stay at the guy's estate called Saltburn. And it's over the summer. Crazy shit happens. I don't really want to say more than that.
Yeah.
But it's a wild movie. It's kind of a maximalist movie almost. Like it goes pretty. It's a lot. Like it's a lot. If you have any apprehensions about full frontal male nudity, I would say don't watch this movie. But if you want to see Barry Keoghan dancing around naked, have at it.
I don't know if I want to watch it now. Like,
I mean,
that's
it's
frightening.
whatever.
None of that's in there. He's lying. Just watch it.
Yeah, sure. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good movie. Everybody puts on a really good performance. Rosamund Pike's in it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the guy who plays Jacob Elordi's dad, but he's always like the mean British guy. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting movie. There's some twists and turns in the movie that's very interesting. but it's also it gets really weird in certain parts.
I'm okay with weird.
Because it seems like Barry Keoghan's kind of developing an obsession with Jacob Elordi's character. But yeah, it's really good. I very much enjoyed it. I don't know. I think I might like. I don't know. It's two very interesting movies. Comparing that with her previous movie, Promising Young Woman. Carey Mulligan's also in it for a little while.
Oh, okay, that's good.
She has a very small role in that one. But it's pretty good. I liked it a lot. It was pretty interesting. The other one that I watched is a little bit. A movie came out in 2020. So I don't think last year, but the year before, I talked about One Cut of the Dead, which was a kind of horror comedy zombie movie that's mostly done in one take. And apparently that kind of spawned this kind of subgenre of like super low budget Japanese movies where they all at least look like they're in one take. So the other one that I watched that's in this kind of subgenre is called Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. This is also on Prime. It's a very short movie. It's only like 71 minutes, and it's all at least made to look like it's one cut.
Okay.
One shot. There are cuts, but it's like basically a
Seamless
series of long cuts. Yeah.
Right.
So this guy who runs a cafe and lives upstairs from the cafe discovers that a monitor in his room and a TV in the cafe are connected to each other. But one of them sees 2 minutes into the past. And it's him figuring out just how everything works, and then all of the girl who works there, they're like working on things, and his friends just happen to come over, and they're all like using it. And I kind of don't want to say more on this, but what they figure out is if you bring the one monitor downstairs and you face them towards each other, you basically have a series of like mirror images, and every single one of them is 2 minutes further into the past. So you can look further into the past or further into the future than 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Depending on which way you're looking at.
Gotcha.
And I think it's very well thought out.
I want to say I've seen the trailer for this, but it's been a minute.
It's a very interesting movie, and I don't think it's like it does time and time loops and things like that, and kind of time travel-ish type things and I think if you were to like math out everything in the movie, like everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen, like in like, you know, because you'll see like maybe 3 layers back something happens, and then like exactly the 6 minutes later that thing happens.
Right.
I did not have the energy to like map it out because I don't want to do that much research on just a movie that I watched. But it's a very interesting movie. And it's super, super low budget. It literally has like 3 sets. Like I think they did it all in this like one like building basically, and they just move up and down and different things like that. But it's very, very interesting. It's one of the more interesting like time travel or messing with time movies that I've seen.
Gotcha.
And I think it's a very smartly written movie. So yeah, that's the 2 things that I've watched / done. So yeah, Jody.
So over the weekend, I've been since Christmas, I've been slowly binging through a show that has 12 seasons that I saw at a first glance many moons ago. And sometimes you have those like preconceived notions of something and be like, I don't know about this or whatever. And Trailer Park Boys, so like I'm like 5 seasons in on Trailer Park Boys, so I'm getting close to the halfway point in that. Canadian show about trailer park people, and Canadian rednecks, if you will, basically is what it comes down to.
Wouldn't that be Canadian Rougenecks if they were in Montreal?
Yeah, it depends on if they're in Montreal or not.
The Great White North.
Uh-huh.
So
From From far and wide, oh
every-
Canada, we
yeah,
stand on guard for thee.
Cool.
Jesus, that is way more.
God
lyrics.
save our land, the true north, strong and
Why
free.
do you know that?
Because
I think he's
I
secretly
win
Canadian.
all games of Trivial Pursuit.
There was one movie from SCTV that I remember, and that's one of them. What was the name of that film? Something.
Because it followed the lumberjack characters.
It was the two guys who just drank beer.
Oh, Strange Brew.
Strange Brew.
Yeah.
Right. The whole plot of the movie is
Because that was what Rick Moranis
Rick
and
Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
not the Wendy's Dave
no,
Thomas,
a different Dave Thomas.
who also brought us the KFC bucket.
And the plot of the movie is that they're trying to claim that there was a mouse in one of their beer bottles so they could get a free case of beer. That's the plot of the movie.
Yeah, very
And
low
it's
stakes.
a very surrealistic movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But anyway, I did not watch Strange Brew. I watched Trailer Park Boys, which it seems like so far every season someone ends up in jail. Not necessarily the same guys. Someone ends up. It's so funny. I like it. It's pretty funny. And so my deep dive into Netflix trash reality programming has continued.
Okay.
Except now I'm starting to slowly like ease into a lot of the more foreign programming because at least the people seem a little bit genuine compared to the American counterparts. Like one of the good shows is the Physical 100 show. That's not really trash reality. That's actually
I've heard of that.
I remember you
entertaining.
talking
Yeah,
about it.
you talked about that, and I've seen it in other places.
I started watching this show called Inferno Island.
Okay.
And so they've got 4 girls and 5 guys, and they're from the age brackets of like early 20s to early 40s. And there's things they can't discuss while they're on the island trying to get to know each other. They can't tell anyone what their age is and what they do for a living.
Okay.
Because that's supposed to be saved for something else I'm going to get into. So, you have
okay.
Inferno Island, and then you have Paradise. And Paradise is where people are trying to go to, you know, push their newfound relationship, air quotes for people listening, to actually like be able to do things like talk about themselves casually in a non this island they don't have any stupid like challenges or any bullshit or anything like that. But they do have like if you're on the island, you have to go get water out of a well, and there's a select amount of food that you have to prepare that you don't get like a choice of a lot of stuff or whatever. And when they get to
is it like a Survivor Island or is it like a resort island?
it's like an in between kind of thing
All right.
where they have like these little bunks kind of set up or whatever with a nice place to eat that's got like a roof and everything like that, and it's set up where it's like it's low key, but they're not like having to fish or anything like that, and they're trying to get to know each other, but it's really funny because like it's a South Korean show, so like even though some of these dudes are kind of ripped, they're still like everybody still kind of acts kind of shy because just the nature of the culture and everything like that. So that part of it is kind of interesting, and also to see like what a narcissist looks like outside of an American and there is one, and it's just like, oh, that's interesting. So I watched that, and I've been playing a lot of classic video games lately.
Oh, okay.
Me and some friends, we also went to Margaritaville, which is a local arcade. / they even have a casino part to that?
No.
anymore?
No.
It's all arcade.
There's
and
been talk of
restaurants.
one, I think,
This is the second Margaritaville in Biloxi. The first one was up Oak Street. Fifth Street up Oak Street.
Right.
And that was because it wasn't a hotel. It was a casino restaurant, and this is you got the arcade hotel restaurant, but no casino.
Right.
If they bring
Couple
in
restaurants, actually.
if they bring in a casino, it will be later. From what I understand from friends who are working there, they're doing well enough without having all the interjection of the gaming commission being in.
Right.
Yeah, because last year they opened up a amusement park on top of the
There's a
like,
Ferris wheel behind there.
There's a Ferris wheel. There's a I don't know if they've
It's like a
started.
drop ride.
I don't know if they've started it, but there's going to be a bar that is in a hot air balloon that you
Oh, wow.
go up to the
Oh,
top,
nice.
and they serve you your drinks in a hot air balloon.
Oh,
That's pretty rad.
Is that the
is-
thing that looks like the spiraling tower? Or
I think maybe yes. I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure on that, but that is
I know
something.
they've got a couple of rides that I've seen.
They have
working.
inside the main arcade. They have in the corner. They have like a built-in apparatus. It's much like the climb walking thing that you
Yeah.
can do, but it's actually a bunch of like suspension bridges and ropes and things like that they put a harness on you. You can like go through it and all that fun stuff. But they have like the giant like Galaga and Pac-Man machine in there. And all the coin pushers and stuff like that.
There's a Star Wars like pod thing that you can get in. That's a really cool. That's like my favorite thing that I've ever done. There.
I tried it and my vertigo kicked in and I couldn't
Ooh,
play
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
They also have like a Luigi's Mansion thing where you like actually have the ghost sucker
the
thing.
Poltergeist
yeah,
2000. Yeah.
I played that.
That
That's
sounds
pretty
so
fun.
much
That's
fun.
It's
also,
Hold on.
hard. It's very
Hold on.
hard.
The Poltergeist 3000. Poltergeist is a totally different thing, and I'm going to leave it at that.
they have a really cool axe throwing game in there.
Okay, that's something new that I haven't been there in quite some time.
It's in the corner that's next to the first bar that you walk past. That's also like a pizzeria place.
Yeah.
It's set up like the normal ones, except it's like a plastic bullseye dartboard with like giant rubber hatchets.
Okay.
And at the bottom of the pickup where you pick up the hatchets, it says, "We are not responsible for your tomfoolery," in so many words. And it's pretty fun, but they kind of cheat you now if you played it before, because before it used to have 3 rounds and now there's only 2, and it probably costs the equivalent of like $2 a play or something like that. So, but it's fun, and then of course they have the virtual bowling thing that's also pretty fun. Didn't get into that this time, but yeah, I've been playing a lot of classic games like Dig Dug and Galaga and shit like that, and
okay.
every once in a while, every blue moon, I'll play some of the older arcade games, and I'm reminded why I have a short attention span when it comes to video games is because you would like lose real quick and then jump to the next machine because you didn't want to waste all your quarters on the same machine.
Yeah.
And that's how those were built, and that's how they built us by us playing them all the time.
The Omnibus should do a field trip over there one day. Like go over there, we like experience it and then give our opinions of it. Like as a collective
I'd love
group.
to.
I'm down.
I'd
That's
love
interesting.
to go to
Yeah,
Mercury,
I'm
though.
down. I'm down for that.
There you go.
Never been.
Yeah.
Never
Oh,
been.
it's
Never been.
it's
pretty good.
fantastic.
They've done a very good job with it.
Yeah.
They've done a very good. We have the dinner at the Margaritaville. It'd be good. That's 2 out of 4 of us
Jesus
today.
Christ. Mine's on silent.
Yeah.
So.
So
Okay, there you
that's
go.
me. That's what I've been up to.
All right. So that leaves we got Jay. That's
Yes,
you.
yes,
left.
yeah. The 10th letter of the alphabet's still here. I really didn't do much this week because of work. So instead, I'm going to take this time to write a letter. All right.
Okay.
Dear Tony Khan, because this is a business letter. Sir, I would like to open up with, I am a big fan that you exist. Not necessarily of AEW, but the fact that you are a competitor to the WWE means that WWE has to try harder. And we've seen some good things come from that, from both sides. See pretty much the entire last 2 or 3 months of WWE and anything involving Orange Cassidy from your side. That being said, stop tweeting. Stop it. Please stop. Dear God, stop. You've only succeeded in making Jinder Mahal a worldwide phenomenon. He does not work for your company. Even though you've bought all the other wrestlers, he doesn't work for your company. You are helping out the other guys directly. Stop it. Please stop. Sincerely, James McCarthy, Travelers on the Omnibus. P.S. The opinions of James McCarthy do not affect the opinions of all members of Travelers on the Omnibus. P.P.S. Sometime this year, please have Orange Cassidy challenge for the world title. Maybe not win, but definitely challenge. I think it'll be a good match. Thank you. All right. There you go. There's my letter. I'm going to going to the mailbox now.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to cause Jinder to have a new T-shirt, and he's actually going to sell T-shirts now because it's a meme?
I want a WWE
I'll buy one.
I want
I'll
a
buy
WWE
one.
T-shirt, and on the front, you know how we have the one for Orange that says I do not have a catchphrase.
Yeah.
I want a Jinder Mahal one that says who the fuck is Hook?
Yeah.
and just sell that. You will make a fortune, Paul. Make a fucking fortune off
Yeah.
that T-shirt. shirt.
Yeah.
He might come up with a new finisher that has the word hook like in it somewhere.
It is
Yeah.
baffling.
Yeah.
Absolutely baffling.
Yeah.
The mind boggles.
Jesus Christ.
For just to solidify, which by the way, also I guess welcome to Whiskey and Wrestling West Coast.
Sure.
This week we got Friday, so end of last week, start of this week, we got two similar type of matches kind of booked. We have Hook, who is a phenomenal young man wrestler, son of the great Taz of ECW and WWE
But I
commentating
digress.
fan. But I digress. It's Taz. Anyway, I had to get that one out there too. And he challenged Samoa Joe for the world title in AEW. And it was, from what I understand, everybody, like the Republicans and Democrats both came together in Congress and they voted to censure Tony Khan and AEW and to have all of their and to fine them so much money because it was such a bad idea. At least that's what Tony Khan would have you believe. Meanwhile, on Monday Night Raw, you had a Seth Rollins promo that was interrupted by Jinder Mahal, and then Jinder Mahal is going to challenge next week for the world title.
Well, hey, you got to remember, he's a returning world champion.
He's a returning world champion. Yes. And that was used for a joke to set up for The Rock being there. But like, to be fair, that all being said, I think the promos were very strong. But Jinder has as much chance of beating Seth as Hook has of beating Joe. Both of them right now, as far as what's going on there.
Yeah.
It should just kind of stop there. However, someone poked the Russian bear that is Tony Khan, and he opened up a Twitter storm, an X storm. I like X storm better, actually. He opened up an X storm.
I refuse to call it X.
Well, it sounds like he's a Final Fantasy character at that point. It's like he cast X storm.
The
and
final X mode.
Yeah, X mode. He's Bahamut X or whatever.
Sure.
No, that was Zero. Never mind.
Final form.
Disregard everything I said about Bahamut just now.
No. Tony Khan is the final.
Is the final boss in
is the
Final
final
Fantasy.
boss,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. And he just went on what many people are calling, and I will add my voice to that growing cacophony of, it was a meltdown. It was a complete and total meltdown that was not necessary, and I believe only hurt his product a little bit and helped WWE's product much more.
Yeah.
Particularly Jinder Mahal, who's been able to spin this both on Twitter and in WWE programming. Him on the bump yesterday was also kind of a must watch thing from what I've heard. Yeah, you've only helped the competitor. You haven't hurt them. You've only exposed that they got in your feelings, which is a terrible thing that I've heard nowadays. At least as far as my Zoomer friends would
And
it's
also really bad if you're opening yourself up for getting targeted for bad booking choices, because those have been all over the place in AEW.
Yeah.
I'll even give AEW the benefit of the doubt on some of that because they've had so many injuries and Brawl In, which kind of nuked the product for about 3 months. There's been a lot of stuff that I think for any company, you would have a difficult time navigating those waters. That being said, even then, the product has been worse.
Lacking, yeah.
So, especially compared to like the first 2 years.
Well, yeah, they coasted on that indie momentum.
I wouldn't even say they coasted.
while.
I think they utilized it very well. I think they used Chris Jericho appropriately. I think they used Mox appropriately. I think they were getting people over. And then I think it is indicative of all of the problems they've had backstage. CM Punk was one of the biggest, likely the biggest, but he wasn't the only one. And that stuff is still kind of simmering back there. And it's really making the front of the house product hard to do. At least that's my eyes from a fan / semi-smart.
And a fan / semi-smart for me is that like there's been overexposure of people that don't need as much TV time. Chris Jericho is for me personally.
I wouldn't mind the Chris Jericho stuff if it wasn't the same playbook every time.
And the same amount of
Well, the problem is that Chris Jericho has kind of lived out his usefulness in AEW. There's literally nothing else for him to do in AEW. And he doesn't want to do anything that any of the other older people are doing to actually
which is put over
people.
younger talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talks about wanting to put over younger talent, but he never does
He
it.
just kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Even if they get a win off him, it doesn't really lead to anything.
Right.
So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't watch wrestling anymore on a weekly basis. So I guess it really doesn't fucking matter.
He's arguably a part of, in my opinion, the worst segment of Dynamite, and this includes the weigh-in segment from Rhodes a Go-Go way back in during the pandemic days. But with him, Kenny Omega, Ricky Starks, and Big Bill. I've watched that thing. I've watched it 3 times.
Jesus Christ!
Because did I really experience this? Chris Jericho can talk. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of the classic like Jericho ability to kind of like ringmaster in the ring and like deliver a fantastic promo. Kenny Omega, we found out later that he was suffering from life-threatening diverticulitis.
Right.
Get well soon, Kenny, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks, because no one was playing with him, his stuff hits flat. And then Big Bill is just like, I'm Big Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There's the segment. And like I think you said last week, good movies, bad movies. Okay. Mediocre, like stagnant. And that's to me why it's the worst, is because that thing was just stagnant and just did nothing.
Right. And then like, for example, like you're getting talked about, but for the wrong reasons. People are still making reviews of Rebel Moon on YouTube. Still. 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the movie came out, they're still talking about it, but in a bad way. That's not the press you want. There is such a thing as bad press.
Yeah, I think some of it also has to do with like people like Tony Khan and people like Chris Jericho, because we had that a couple of weeks ago.
Well, that whole
off
thing,
Twitter.
Yeah,
You just need to
just stay off Twitter.
Stay off Twitter.
Just
stay off
don't
of
do
it.
it. Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Leave it alone.
Like every so often, put your live, laugh, love, fucking emotional,
just put
motivational
hey,
thing up
we're
there.
doing, we're hey, get ready for Dynamite because this person's fighting this person tonight. Get excited. Do your promotion.
No, go ahead.
Or be savvy with it, like Sammy Guevara.
No, don't be savvy with it. They can't do it. They can't
Because
do
then
it.
you end up in the Chris Jericho
Every
situation.
one savvy thing that they do, you have 3 Chris Jericho things.
Yeah.
I didn't sign an NDA.
And then
Right.
occasionally you get the Jinder Mahal goals like, who the fuck is Hook?
Well, I'm
Right.
not saying
But
every
then-
single
but then
wrestler needs to stay off Twitter. I'm saying particularly those 2.
The older ones.
People
Yeah.
and Tony Khan, who obviously can't like hold shit, can't be professional when he really needs
He
to.
can barely function as a adult.
He received a question at the scrum about the whole Chris Jericho situation. I don't want to dig in because honestly, there's not enough known.
Right.
There's only a lot of supposition.
It is
But
a lot
when asked about a very serious topic,
He brushed
that's
off.
no. That's when the fake curly hair and goofy sunglasses should have come off, and then like Anthony Khan
Right.
should have been talking about. Like at this time, we don't have much to say about that except that this was a serious issue.
Serious
it has been
things.
dealt with in house and be done.
But that's
with
not
it.
what he did.
But instead, it's this consistent wavering.
Yeah.
CM Punk was a problem,
Yeah.
but he was not the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is sad.
It's
That is
become
very
it's
sad.
become visibly obvious that he was not
Because they
the
have
only.
so
Yeah.
much talent.
They have a lot of talent.
And again,
for sure.
like, talking about the alternative, I love Mox. I love everything John Moxley has done, like with just Alone, as Blackpool Combat Club, as this kind of like hardcore leaning or hardcore like diving into ace of AEW. I love that. I love Orange Cassidy. You would not see Orange Cassidy in the WWE.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't see him because he preeminently knows what he's doing in that ring. He's
You would
solid
see-
technically.
You would have seen him in
whatever
20
his real name is,
Yeah.
but you would not see Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
You would have seen him probably in the original NXT that aired on the WWE network the first couple of years in when it started becoming really big, right when they started doing pay-per-views at the same weekend as SummerSlam or WrestleMania. You would have seen him get really hot and then come to the main roster and then not utilize him.
He would have been.
Well,
it
and
would have
then
been an Adam
Vince,
Cole
and then,
situation.
and then Vince not utilizing
He
it.
he would have been
or God forbid a Keith Lee situation.
he would have been a No Way Jose
yeah.
is what
Yeah.
would have done they would have done with him.
So
Anyway.
because we have AEW, we have that thing that is not WWE, which means just in case maybe I want butter pecan tonight instead of just vanilla. Thank you, Baskin Robbins. We have 31 flavors. The more is better. I'm interested in how TNA is going to be going forward. I really want to see New Japan kind of like be more active on the American side of things. I like the idea of having
There are
multiple
rumors that
things.
WWE
There
is
is.
working on a deal with New Japan.
New Japan. I'm kind of, again, I'm all for the idea of them working together if they can work together and it not be, because I would argue New Japan has suffered underneath working with AEW.
Yeah.
They lost Will Ospreay. There's more focus. They're drawing people out of New Japan than New Japan's getting back from them.
Right.
And I would argue that, and I don't even think that's necessarily an insidious thing or something. It's just, it's the way it ended up
Well,
happening.
it's also like a summer. It's not a summer, a Survivor Series type thing where they used to do back in the day, where all of a sudden brands mattered,
Yeah,
and
Right.
the brand wars.
it's
Right.
just like that. Like, okay, I know that that Survivor Series is coming up, so now it's gonna matter. People are actually gonna care that they're on Raw or SmackDown.
Right.
It's the same thing when Forbidden Door comes around. Oh, okay, I know New Japan is going to show up and they're going to start caring about New Japan, and then AEW is going to really start caring about them being in AEW and all this shit. It's the same. It's the same shit. Like it's
except
the
that they're
same
both
fucking
not the same
playbook.
company.
Yeah.
Like you can make an argument that with WWE, it's like, okay, we'll make it about that. And I'm glad they've moved towards the war game structure where you actually have like stories
Yeah.
actually coming out rather than these this one little tumor of time where it's like it all matters about whether you're red or
brand
blue.
supremacy.
And then it immediately the next show afterward, no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
Is TNA going back to their weekly pay-per-view?
I don't know if that's the case. I do know they're going back to the old name, and in recent years, I will say they have picked it up on the creative end. They have picked it up on the back of house. They've got good investment. I want to see again. I prefer the WWE product.
Sure.
I do, but I would like to see something like, and he's left there, but I like the idea of a Sammy Callahan in
I love Sammy.
in TNA. I love the idea that we have these people that can actually flex what they can do the best in an environment that will allow them to do
Right.
that. Again, AEW exists. I haven't liked it as much as WWE, but the stuff that I've liked in it, I've loved in it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that.
Darby Allin. I want to also shout out Darby. Like Darby, I don't think like if it were the late '90s, Darby could have been Darby in WWE. But
Yeah,
like
possibly.
with concussion protocol the way they've got and all those other things. Like not that I wanted them to disavow concussion
Sure.
protocol. That was one of the big. That I think was the first bad thing that ever happened in AEW that I can remember was when Matt Hardy got concussed in that match with Sammy Guevara and
Yeah.
they kept the match going.
Yeah, you don't do that.
But them preventing that stuff from being able to go there. Darby knows what he's doing. He's got a style that's going to end up wrecking him, but you can watch him in the match. You can see he knows what he's doing. It's not like he's just like, oh, let me do this and throw a flip in on that. No, everything is planned and calculated. with him.
Real quick before we move on, because I want to say this. I watched the Stone Cold documentary from A&E recently. It's on YouTube through Biography's YouTube channel, and they show that Spike Taker pile driver that Owen Hart did on Stone Cold. And Stone Cold cleared it right there. He's like, I just want you to understand something. That didn't give me a concussion and I didn't break my neck. It bruised my spinal column and cracked my skull. But, like, thankfully, that motherfucker finished that match, even though it was like, the pin was coming up or whatever, and had to crawl on his arms because his hands weren't working because he couldn't feel anything in his hands anymore.
Yeah.
And with referees or not, walked back to the back dressing room and then sat down and they called an ambulance after landing on his head.
Jay, do we have any feedback?
No feedback this week. However, if you would like to leave us feedback, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody, where else can they get in touch with us?
Oh, they can get in touch with us directly and take part in any polls we may have currently, such as, is Ethan going to be a dolphin or a dapper dolphin?
Still saving the results
on
on that.
Spotify,
Yes.
which is also one of the platforms you can listen to us on.
Yes.
Including Amazon,
Yes.
Google, YouTube Music,
Eventually, yes to the first, eventually on the other one.
and some other website.
The jungle one.
The jungle one. I said
The
Amazon.
rainforest. No, you said Amazon?
I didn't say Apple.
Oh, you
though.
didn't say Apple. You
Yeah.
can get apples in the Amazon.
There you go.
Amazonian apples. It's great.
Amazonian
Amazonian
apples.
There we go.
Jesus. So that is the end of our beginning part of this show.
It's the end of the beginning.
Yes,
please.
End of the
beginning
beginning.
part of
It's
our
very-
show, and that's
very
going to lead us
forthright,
into
yeah.
The beginning
our
of the end.
main topic. So for our main topic for tonight, tomorrow, whenever the fuck you're listening to this, I don't know. We're going to be talking about the 1988 movie Akira or Akira. It all depends on, I guess, how you feel like pronouncing it.
Or which dub you listen to.
Yeah, or what
Yeah.
dub you're listening to. Speaking of that, there's the 1988 dub, and then there is the 2001 dub. I think the 2001 ended up being is the only one that I've really watched, even though the Blu-ray that I have of it has both versions. If you've watched it, and the main character is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, one of the many Black Power Rangers. Then that's the 2001. The other one I believe you said was the guy
Is Cam Clark, who of his other roles that you may know him for, primarily he was the original Leonardo voice for the Ninja Turtles cartoon show, and he was also the voice of Liquid Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh,
So
I did not know
little
that
something
they
to know
both did
about that. But that is Cam Clark. In the Electric Media Streamline, which is the 89 dub, Jan Rapson. And what's weird about it is, from what I understand, their real names were actually not used in the original crediting for some reason.
I think back in the day that was kind of a practice with anime because it was all. There's a lot of stuff about like earlier anime where
I wonder if that
with
has something to
crediting.
do. Like, and again, I like the fact that we now know the real names because to give credit and or criticism as is due to what is going on. But Jan Rapson was the 89 voice of Tetsuo Oshima. Joshua Seth was the voice, and this is going to be a point I think of a lot of discussion is as far as the dub and which one dub is better. I will say this for me, Colonel Shikishima, excuse me.
Yeah.
I prefer the 89 dub rather than the 2001.
Yeah, I said I was going to go back and watch both because I have both, and I even thought about doing all three with the Japanese sub as well, but I didn't. I think before we were talking about this, Ethan, you watched the one on Hulu, right?
I watched Hulu.
If you watch it on Hulu, it's gonna say 1988, but it is the 2001 dub.
The reason why the movie came out in 88.
Yes.
But you have dubs that happened at different years. The
There was
actual
a
the
remaster in 2001.
yeah, and
For the DVD.
For the
yeah,
DVD.
yeah.
And the original American dub was done in 89, the year
89,
after it
yeah.
initially came out.
Yeah, I was just reading that July of '88 when it was released in Japan, and then the following year was released in America with English dubbing.
So and just real quick to get through everything. Jody, I believe you said you watched both.
Yes.
And then Jay, you watched.
I
Just
watched
the 80.
just the 88. I have seen the 2001 before, so I can speak a little bit of, but
Okay.
it's not fresh. The 89 dub is the one I'm most familiar
Yeah.
with because it was the first time I'd ever seen the movie.
And actually, the first time I watched it was on DVD, so it was the 2001. So that's the one I'm more familiar with. But you might be saying, hey, and I probably most of you are older, so you're not really asking this, but it's like, hey, if you're younger like Ethan, you might be saying, why are you talking about this movie? Well, this movie is one of, if not the most important anime, just period, not even anime movie of all time. Like this is what popularized anime
In America.
in America.
It is part of a movement of other like larger titles like Vampire Hunter D
Yeah.
and possibly some other TV shows, but it's that and also a lot of military discovered people that were in overseas discovered anime and then brought that back as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to say one of the earlier distribution companies, Manga Core.
Yeah, I was I watched a couple of videos of this, giving them credit real quick.
Yeah.
Cinema Tyler and Super Eye Patch Wolf.
Yeah, go ahead.
I watched some stuff where it's the background of this. Manga was actually like the first like anime distribution thing in America,
Right.
And they brought this over.
Right.
So yeah.
This was also my first time watching this.
Yeah,
We figured.
and a lot of like younger people, they haven't watched this, but like older people who are into anime, like this was general. Like it wasn't mine, but this is like
right. Around the first.
people who are into anime who are a little bit older,
Right.
this is their first thing that they ever watched that was
Yeah.
anime. Like that's a very, very common thing. This is what got people into anime, and it was like almost like back in the day with wrestling, where it was like tape trading and stuff like that.
It was.
That's where a lot of it comes from. Is somebody gets the videotape somehow, and they make a copy of it, and then they give it to their
and a
friends
lot of
stuff like that.
lot of that early stuff and conventions and stuff like that. Before we get in the movie, they did that without any dubbing. A lot of times,
Yeah.
like sometimes they would just tape trade like copied video cassettes, and they wouldn't have any dubbing or subtitles. You'd just be watching that shit in Japanese just to like get into the art form,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
it were.
There was for at least a good decade at CoastCon, which is the Mississippi Gulf Coast's longest running science fiction convention. There, for a good decade, you had whole booths that were just set up solely for that. Not anything else other in Japanese culture,
Right.
like Pocky or any kind of the sweets or stuff like that, and kind of the Japanese idol stuff. You had just literally just what do you want? I have a tape of it.
Right.
Oh look, a copy of it just appeared. I don't know where that came from. Tip $15.
And they sold manga that was in Japanese kanji.
Yeah.
Like it was in Japanese. The whole.
Oh yeah, back in the day, that's only a relatively recent thing of
Right.
like getting widespread manga in English.
I want to say the early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like a seminal work of anime, and also before this, like also had a big change of the way anime was done and the types of anime that were made in Japan, because like before this, you know, you had some more mature stuff. I think Gundam's older than this, right?
Oh yeah, Gundam's way older.
But a lot of it was like the kind of Astro Boy type things where
Sort of G to PG rated.
Yeah,
Like
and
Star
this is-
Blazers, Battleship Yamamoto.
yeah, and
stuff.
this is what really started the mature rated anime stuff. Like before
Right.
this,
Well, without this, like, there's a lot of roads that goes down to. Some are good roads. Vampire Hunter D, as much as I'm not a big fan of it, Hunter D being able to be made, I think is also this was a big benefit to that, I believe, as well. And again, not just so much Japan, but to bring it over to the
Yeah.
States.
Well, yeah,
like
'cause
this
D-
is
D
this
was-
is
I'm sorry,
this
go
is
ahead.
the door. This is the door that opened that up. But
Right.
you also have things like Genocyber, which if you see some of the what I'm going to call Cronenberg yet not Cronenberg parts of this movie, Genocyber basically made that the entire movie.
Yeah, body
almost.
horror, yeah.
Body horror and unmitigating violence.
Yeah.
yeah,
Vampire Hunter D on a lesser note came out like 2 or 3 years before Akira. Came out like 85, 86.
yeah.
I want to say I could be misremembering, but I
it
want
is
to.
it is a little bit younger if I'm not mistaken. But again, this was like the thing that like especially with bringing
Yeah.
it to America.
And
And a lot of this had to do
Hunter
with,
D was 1985.
85.
okay, so a little bit.
But yeah, I think less so for Japan, but more for the United
Right.
States. I think
Yeah.
that the hallmark of this is the door that opened up and everything could start walking through.
And all of this stuff is happening in Japan. Just a little bit of background of this, because this is the bubble economy of Japan, where their economy was growing at like rapid rates, and like eventually that bubble popped, and
Right.
like things got worse in the 90s. But this is where like everybody had so much money to throw around, so they were just throwing money at these anime studios to just make all of this stuff. And that's where some of the stuff that's in Akira is you can see in the especially in the background taking place. It's a lot of it. So Akira, like I said, 1988, is based on a manga by Katsushiro Otomo. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. That he started in 1982 but didn't actually finish until 1990. So before, during, and after this manga is being made. It's also directed by Katsushiro Otomo. So he directed this, and he also wrote the manga. And it's basically I think it's 6 volumes, I believe, and he basically it's most of the first volume and like the last part of the last volume, and they just kind of speed run the rest of it because it's only a 2-hour movie.
And they're also like the volumes are larger than your normal manga.
Yeah.
They're what they've been doing recently in manga is they've been releasing volumes of manga and calling it omnibus volumes, which is funny. So
I wonder where I've heard that name.
for example, the omnibus Death Note, it's in 3 volumes, but it's the whole series in three large volumes. I have that Captain Harlock book where they condensed like several volumes of a regular short manga into a bigger book.
Yeah. So that's just a little bit of background of that. Throughout this, I watched some, like I said, I watched some videos about like the background of this, and I think there's some really interesting stuff that went on with the background of this. But we'll start with, so the first thing that you see is 7/16/1988, and you see a cityscape, and it's Tokyo.
Right.
And then you see they start off with a bang because this explosion happens.
Mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it a mushroom cloud. It's just this ball of light that incinerates Tokyo.
Yeah.
But you're meant to, but of course, like
You're
with
meant to think
anything
initially,
with Japan, if there's an explosion, it is meant to
If
also
there's a
call back.
city-destroying explosion, yes, it is a callback to the atomic bomb.
They do reference World War III, right?
To the one, well, I think that kicked off World War III.
Yeah, it says, and then it says on the screen like World War III begins with the destruction of Tokyo, basically. And then you cut to 31 years later to Neo Tokyo. This is taking place in 2019.
The far off future
Yes,
of 2019.
The dystopian future.
Yeah.
We open up, so this is one of, even with anime that comes after this is one of the most like cinematic anime where they're actually using like camera shots with this, because
I legitimately for years thought this was rotoscoped at some point.
Yeah,
it looks like it
because how fluid the movement is in so many
because
of these
of how
scenes.
exact they are.
There's an episode of Quarter Crew where they're actually reviewing Akira.
Yeah.
And they have a visual effects artist come in, and they actually like break down a lot of like iconic scenes in this.
The light tracing,
especially just in like the what few you have, but just like in the day-to-day life stuff.
Yeah.
The movement is so fluid. There's no like break stop or anything.
There's
like that.
a reason for that. I was gonna wait a little bit longer, but so this anime, most anime and most cartoons really
24 frames a second.
Yeah, they're only like half. They're 12 frame. They're about 12 frames per second, maybe even less sometimes if they're really trying to. Especially like some anime is they will do. They don't use any of these tricks that you see in anime where it's like, okay, it's a static thing, but we have people talking, you just can't see their face or something like that. Just a little bit later on, Ghost in the Shell, which is another like great anime movie, will use some of these tricks where they will just have somebody like going down an elevator or something, and you'll just see them from behind, and you don't have to animate anything, but they're talking and shit like that. They don't use any of those tricks, but Akira is done at 24 frames per second. Being what they call doing it on the 1s and the 2s, whereas most anime and most cartoons at the time were only animated on the 2s, so it's every other frame. But in this, and they even do true slow-mo at times where it's even more frames per second. So like the amount of work that they put into this. This was done in 70 millimeter, which is 3.5 times larger than most normal animation. So they're doing more in the screen.
Yeah, especially the later part in the movie. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, there was over 100,000 frames in this, which is like so much more than what a normal anime or any cartoon at the time was done. That's why you watch this now in 2023 and it still holds up so well, is because there is so much work put into this.
Which I want to credit Atomo for that, but also want to mention the cinematographer Katsuji Misawa and editor Takeshi Seyama.
Yeah.
To put all of that, to have the vision to do that, and then to have the actual technical know-how to fire that off. Because just to kind of go off what you just said right there, I hadn't watched this proper and start to finish. I've watched clips every now and
Yeah.
once again. I haven't watched this in about maybe 10 years.
Same.
Yeah,
And
it's been not that long.
and it's
It's been
still
longer than that probably for me.
it's still crisp. It's still
Yeah.
good. Like everything about this is fantastic.
Yeah, you could
It's
put this
from the
on, and I don't
technical
think.
aspects
And there's even like some early CGI in certain parts of this. But like, I don't think that you could. I think you could probably tell somebody, "Hey, this was made like last year," and they'd be like, "Yeah, it is. It looks better than most shit."
Right.
But so Otomo did all of the storyboards for this himself,
That's
and he also
crazy.
and he also helped edit. So
and he probably was also still writing Akira.
Oh,
at
he
the
was
time.
writing this. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
writing this during this. So he even says like the experience of directing the film shaped the manga. So things in the manga changed because of his experiences with directing the film.
Do any of y'all know the budgets that he had for the movie?
Oh yeah, 1.1 billion yen.
Which, from what I understand, from what I've seen, the
About
numbers I have
$10
in front
million.
of me,
Well,
I've got 5.7 million was the original budget.
Yes.
I think with marketing,
it went with
yeah.
advertising and marketing. It went
Yeah.
up to 1.1 billion yen, which is about $10 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the box office on it was close to 50 million, and then that doesn't count the 80 million that it would eventually make in overseas
Yeah.
home video
Yeah.
and DVD.
Which
sales.
at that time was an exorbitant amount for an anime. Like no other anime had been given that amount of money. Most anime after that wasn't given this
Right.
amount
well,
of money.
especially after the crash,
Yeah.
like because I think the crash was like 91 or 92.
Yeah, because Akira actually finishes up a little bit before
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so we have a POV shot. We have an exterior shot, and every frame is so full of detail. Like you could pause at any point, and there's just like so much just
So that's
shit
what-
on the frame.
And that's what gets me about one man doing the storyboard on that
Yeah.
because he did that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And if you look at like stills from his manga, like it's all also filled. Like every frame is so filled with everything. Like
Right.
there's so much detail in every single second. Good Lord, we're not even
Into the
part of
movie
way
yet?
Into the
No.
movie.
Yep.
So
We're after the title.
We get-
the title card.
yeah, we get a POV shot going into this bar.
Yes.
And this person walking through, and then we're introduced to one of the coolest jackets in all like I think every kid who watched this was like, I want two things. I
Right.
want that jacket, and
And
I
then-
want what we're going to talk about in just a second.
Yep.
We're introduced to Kaneda. He is standing at a jukebox
Jukebox.
and figuring out
Next to
things.
his
He's got a
friend.
really cool
Yeah.
jacket on with this capsule on the back of it because his biker gang is called the Capsules.
Mm-hmm.
They are one of the guys is talking about, hey, the clowns are
The clowns are riding.
the clowns are riding, so they all
Yeah.
go out. And then we cut to our next main character, Tetsuo. He is on the coolest fucking motorcycle ever made. I don't think that there has been any cooler motorcycle in anything ever.
And he's going over the technical details on the motorcycle because the motorcycle has a computer interface, which
Yeah.
this is like forthright coming like 20, 30 years later in
Yeah.
real life, where he's talking about like computer controlled anti-lock brakes and
Yeah.
all these technical terms or
He's
whatever.
sitting on,
this much
on-
horsepower
he's sitting on
in it.
Kaneda's bike, and I think in the earlier scene, in the first scene, we find out that it is Kaneda's bike,
Right.
But he's sitting there. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I know that it's Kaneda's bike. But he's sitting on it, and then he's like nerding out over it.
Oh yeah.
And then Kaneda comes in and says, "Hey, we're riding. Get the fuck off my bike. You can't have this."
Well, he's basically like, "Oh, Tetsuo, I don't think you could handle it anyway," or something like that.
They're all kind of assholes to each other,
Right. I could handle it.
Yeah, we can see that Tetsuo is kind of like the weird person of the group.
He's the runt.
Yeah, he's the runt
of the group.
Yeah. So they take off, and then they go through just the most gorgeous cityscapes.
Yeah.
They hand painted all this shit.
Well, yeah.
I was watching video of them like painting windows, and they were like, okay, these windows have to be like a millimeter, and then the windows back here have to be half a millimeter. Like it is fucking ridiculous the amount of detail and time spent with this.
Besides the fluid movement of the motorcycles in this scene, which this scene lasts a pretty good minute.
Yeah.
The light traces
Mm-hmm.
are so spectacular.
Yeah, Kanada's bicycle when he revs it up has this like lightning on the wheels, this like crackling
A
energy.
crackling, and then when
that-
they take off.
Yeah, that looks so fucking cool. Like this movie is just cool.
Those light traces, by the way, that's one of the scenes where those were 36 frames a second.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
light traces on the motorcycles.
Yeah. So they take off and they go and they get into basically a high speed fight with all of
While
the
they're
clowns.
driving motorcycles.
with the clowns while they're driving, and it is so the violence that happens in this is so brutal. And we find out later these are like 14-year-old kids,
Right.
So yeah, they're like trying to knock the clowns off their bikes. They're trying. One of them's got a pipe and he's trying to hit them.
I think they all have pipes.
And
Yeah.
the capsule gang too, like some of them are trying to go around cars and not get like pedestrians involved, and the clowns are just plowing through
Oh yeah, we
people's cars.
see beforehand when we're introduced to the clowns, like they're like running that like a car is parked and they like hit the thing where the car where
The hood pops
hood
up.
pops up
They
and they
throw
throw a
a-
fucking bomb in there.
Right.
yeah, fucking
guys-
explodes
And
with
it
the
just
pedestrian
explodes
right
everywhere.
next to it.
So yeah, the clowns don't give a shit.
Clowns are assholes.
Yeah, so they're fighting, and then we get one of the most iconic scenes from any anime. We get what is called either the Kanada slide or the Akira slide, where Kanada has to slide his bike sideways, and it is so. Did a little research on this. The Kanada slide or the Akira slide has been used from. So the thing that I found was from 1988 to 2021, at least 75 times, and it's been way more than that.
I believe it.
Jordan Peele.
yeah.
Put that
in his newest movie, Nope, it's used there.
Terminator 2.
Maybe, but in a lot of anime have used it. So Teen Titans, Adventure Time, Batman the Animated Series used it. Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Gurren Lagann, Pokemon, Clarence, Steven Universe, Luca. So yeah, that's just a small amount of both Western and Eastern and Japanese things where they have used that. If ever you see somebody like take a slide on their side from their side, that is the Akira slide. So like.
This movie is going to ruin me because anytime I see someone,
There's
like,
a compilation.
Oh, wait, yeah.
There's a compilation on YouTube you can find. Of like
I think-
it's called 75 Years of the Akira slide, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
I think of all the things.
There's a Bollywood movie that does the Akira slide with a horse,
Oh wow.
and it's really awkward.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds exactly like something a Bollywood movie would do. So yeah, we get that. They eventually find the what we were assuming is the leader of the clown gang, because he has the coolest bike of the clowns,
Right.
with like pipes going everywhere.
He's just no hand.
Yeah, he's riding with his arms crossed.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's powerful thighs.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that right
Yeah.
now.
That's how you know he's the leader. He just no hand, no
Die
handle
driving.
bar,
His
die
authority
driving.
comes from his powerful thighs.
Yeah. So we also I want the score of this is amazing. There's like these tribal drums, which I think are Indonesian from what I read, mixed with like some traditional Japanese type instruments and things like that, with the other more traditional score. It's,
Well, on the Japanese side of things, there's a lot of no theater
Yeah.
music that's thrown in there.
yeah.
Which isn't usually present in anime, like the scope of the music that we hear in this movie.
especially like this is pure cyberpunk. So
It
like,
is, 100%.
So like you usually are from in the West, we're used to hearing like
techno.
Yeah, techno or some shit from like
something.
Blade Runner or like a John
Synthesizers.
Carpenter type thing.
Right.
Whereas with this, we're hearing this like almost tribal type thing going on with these like, and there's chants at different times and
Right.
things like that. So we also while this fight is going on, we keep cutting back to there's a riot happening at the same time.
Yeah.
An anti-government riot.
An anti-government riot.
Yeah.
They're fighting. They're fighting because it's like a student riot, I think is what they said, because there's like a labor union strike trying to happen or something like that, and it's something that you constantly see in the background.
Right.
This going on, and there's this guy holding his side, pulling which looks like a little old person.
Right.
We find out later this is a kid who has been who does not look good.
Yeah. He's bleeding too. The older man.
Yeah, the older the
tall guy.
Tall guy. He's bleeding because we see drips of blood.
The child looks like he has a vitamin deficiency.
Yeah, he looks basically like a small old man, white hair, very gaunt,
Imagine
gray skin.
Imagine a child with the skin of E.T.
Yeah, and there's a point in time where like he comes, they're in the crowd, and then the man they get into the area where the riot's happening, and the dude just gets lit the fuck up by the police.
He gets drilled.
Yeah,
Hardcore.
He puts his body in front of the child,
Right.
and they just put so many bullets in him.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous to some degree. But so we keep coming back to this. The kid runs away, and we eventually get to a spot where I think at this point there's also Kaneda does this really cool move where he's off his bike and then he like drop kicks a dude off a bike or something.
I want to say it's like a
I think
flying
so.
knee.
Yeah, it's a
think
flying
so.
knee or
Into
something like that.
The clown leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he fucks them up, and then the cops are coming, so they're like, "Oh, we gotta go." Well, they're still so they go off and they're chasing them, and then the clown guys throw a bomb, and everybody stops but Tetsuo. Tetsuo's gonna show them
Tetsu
all.
keeps going.
He's gonna
trucking along.
he's gonna fucking keep going because he's gonna show them all.
He has to prove his worth.
Yeah. So it ends up to where Tetsuo causes the other two clown gang guys to crash.
He takes a pipe and just fucking like golf swing into one of the clowns.
Oh yeah. Again,
Fucking brutal.
super brutal.
And then it gets to the point where the E.T. baby shows up in the middle of the road.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and he looks. There's a look of fear on his face because Tetsuo's like going straight for him without even meaning to, basically. And his bike just disintegrates.
Yeah, he puts his hands up and then he just his shit just blows up. So Tetsuo's lying on the ground like writhing in pain. The weird kid is like freaked out. The rest of the gang catch up, and then helicopters descend.
The Japan Self-Defenses Forces.
Yeah.
And we get this is the first time I believe that we see the Colonel.
Colonel
Shikishima. Yeah.
Shikishima.
Which let me say this right now, at least for the 89 dub, you have it in the back of your head that this man's a villain because that's how we in your cyberpunk dystopian novel, this guy, and he's not.
Right.
He is literally, in my opinion, a man who's experienced this horror before 30 years earlier as a younger man and doesn't want it to happen again. And so he's doing everything within his power to try to stop it from happening.
That's the same thought process I had.
Yeah. But you
movie.
think you're going to have a villain, but instead they're like he and it's a very I'll bring this point up now. You have a lot of, I think, very boiled down but very kind of like, this is the philosophy of this from the scientists. This is the philosophy of this from the military. This is the philosophy of this from the government. This is some of the philosophy from just the regular people.
Yeah.
This is the resistance.
The resistance,
like
yeah.
you in 2 hours,
You get a lot of
a
moving
story
parts.
that doesn't get told completely. They still do a lot of fucking storytelling in this movie.
Yeah.
And they and it helps make you understand what this world is. And a lot of it is show. There is some tell where you have to kind of do tell, but for the most part, you see it from what you're seeing.
Yeah, most of this movie is show don't tell. Some more little behind the scenes things. So this movie was what they call pre-scored, meaning that the actors came in and the voice actors came in and did their lines and acted all that out, and then they drew the movie. So they never had to worry about the actors coming in and saying, okay, this is how we drew it, so this is how you have to act.
Sure.
They took what the
okay.
actor did and acted, and they put it on screen. Also, all of the lip flaps are accurate to Japanese mouth movements when they're saying words.
Right.
That's why it looks, most of the time when you watch an anime dubbed, it's just lip flaps. It's just them opening their mouth and closing their mouth. So it still kind of fits. This, it looks like you are watching a live Japanese movie because none of the mouth movements fit perfectly.
Right.
Because they fit Japanese speak. So you're literally usually this is way more care than they put into any other movie before, or I would argue since, to be honest.
Right.
So yeah, Otomo was very he wanted this to be movement accurate to where they even sketched out, okay, these are all of the vowel sounds that for Japanese, and so they figured out what all the mouth shapes need to be for that. That's why it kind of looks a little weird when you're watching it if you're used to watching other anime dub, which I mean some people don't like doing that, but if you watch it with the subs on, it's going to look much more accurate to what they're actually saying. So yeah.
So everybody gets put in handcuffs.
Yeah, everybody gets arrested. They take Tetsuo. They take the kid back. There's this other weird kid in a chair with a suit.
Which, if you're listening to the '89 dub, the note that I think he was given was Marlon Brando, but a 14-year-old child.
Oh wow! Because he just straight up sounds like a kid.
They don't sound like kids in the original dub.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because back then,
and it also makes sense because these children, they lived. Okay, but we're in spoilers territory. They were friends of Akira, the boy
that happened 30 years
ago.
prior.
Yeah. These pretty much old, the adults now, but not developed to be adults, are 30 years older. That's the reason why everything looks wrinkled and weird and scary. So that's a detail that once that triggers in your head, it's like, oh shit, okay, yeah. It was unsettling. Now I'm horrified.
The chair kid,
baby.
The chair kid is like, we have to go back now. You can't stay here.
Yeah, we have to go back now. You can't.
Yeah,
you come to me on my daughter's birthday.
Especially for the girl psychic child, the voice.
The child in a bubble
is not great.
Yeah,
in the 2001. Most of the other ones are pretty good in the 2001, I would say, but that one's not. Yeah.
They're both. They both have their different bad qualities. I will say.
We also the another part where we with the dude who gets just Swiss cheese with the kid, we see that there's a girl in the crowd, who obviously knows them.
Right.
We later learn that this is Kay. And in fact, when we cut to them, the gang has all been arrested. And it shows, it's a really funny gag because they show the pictures of Kaneda, and he's just being an asshole in the pictures, and then you look up and he his hair is combed to the side, and he's smiling with this goofy.
He's got this goofy smile on his face.
Kaneda is a doofus.
He is.
He's good at being.
Kaneda is a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's really good at being a biker gang leader, but he's not great at other
talking to girls for one thing. Also, funny side note. So, what's her name in the original dub?
Also K, but it's Kay instead of Kei.
Kei.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's Kaneda.
Yeah.
And then there's Kaneda.
Yeah.
From the two different dubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Because it's Kaneda is in the
this is 2001.
In the 2001.
That's what they called him.
Kaneda is in the original dub.
Yeah.
Tetsuo stays pretty
consistent.
Tetsuo's
And a lot of that happened with earlier dubbing in the 80s and stuff like that, where they were just we're just gonna say this however the fuck we want.
Right.
See, this is why I think I did watch the '88 dub.
Did you watch it on Hulu?
On Hulu, but because every time they say Akira is Akira.
That's the 2001.
That's the 2001.
Yes.
That's the 2001.
Okay.
Because I also watched it on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 88 version is on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the 89 dub and the 2001 dub is the difference between translation and localization.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where localization goes more deeper into making it understandable for the audience that's listening to this in a different language.
And it also sometimes it just comes out to inflection and enunciation in certain pronouncing of words.
Yeah.
But so we're in the jail area with the cops and everything.
Yeah, it feels like this is just like a makeshift thing dealing with the riot because they're trying to figure out who the resistance people are.
Yeah.
They know that these kids are full of shit.
Right.
But they just hey, go wait out here. And then a guy comes up, and then a guy, I think he was in like an interrogation. And he comes out, and he's like, "Fuck you! This is the further resistance." And he pulls out a grenade and pulls it,
And nothing happens.
and nothing happens. And then they just beat
the
the
shit out
of
of
him. Jesus Christ!
I
They're-
appreciate the scene on kind of on a psychological level, and the fact that you've had so much violence.
Yeah.
Let's have a moment
A
where we
little
can release
brief
some of that
humor.
tension.
Yeah, a little
And
brief
then
humor.
Immediately go back into, no, this is some serious shit.
Yeah. So Kaneda also sees Kay, and he's like, "Hey," because they tell him like after they find the guy, they're like,
Like,
"Hey,
you guys
the
can
rest
go."
of you can go."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, she's with our gang too. Can she come?" And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, because he's like,
and
"Oh,
then,
this is a cute
he
girl."
also during that exchange, he's like, "Hey, old man, do you mind if I bring her with me?" He's like, "Old man, I'm 26."
yeah. Which I mean, to him, you are an old man.
Right. Punk.
We also cut to Tetsuo being put through this weird MRI machine.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how he actually has latent psychic powers, rivaling that of Akira. This is the
Right.
first time we get
Was it rivaling, or is that the patterns
the
closely
patterns.
matched?
I guess it all depends.
Because I don't think at this point his power level is
Well,
where
they
it is.
say it
It's
could
just
potentially. I think is
I
what
think
they
it's
said.
potentially could match, at
Yeah.
least match.
Yeah, I think in the version. I think in the version I watched, that's what they
patterns.
say.
They had mentioned a similar pattern with him.
Yeah, because they show Akira's pattern, which is like some of the earlier uses of CGI in anime,
Right.
And then they show his, and it kind of starts matching it, but it's not fully there yet.
Yeah, and if you ever wanted to see what it looked like to watch somebody else trip on acid, watch that old scientist guy look at the pattern for
Oh,
a
yeah.
few
We meet
minutes.
this is the
Yeah.
science guy that we'll be seeing. He's the guy who's kind of over all the science bullshit, and then the colonel's kind of over him.
I think Dr.
Onishi.
Onishi. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, then we get the school that all the boys go to. They're being talked to by the principal. We see like this is like a reform school type thing where it's like you can't make it in regular school, so here you're going.
It's an alternative.
But
school.
we cut to outside, and then there's like a bust of like, I guess, the person who founded the school, and it's like there's graffiti and there's a bra on it, and there's just trash all over the place, and there's fucking graffiti all over the place, and the guy's going, "Yeah, you're only 14, and so that means you guys." He's just giving us this bullshit, and then the other guy who who looks like a coach or something just walks up to all of them in line
And just slaps the shit out of him. Yeah.
in the 2001, he goes, "Discipline, pop, discipline, pop, discipline, pop," and he just punches them in the face.
That became a very famous Daft Punk song, I believe.
But he just beats the shit out of these kids, and they all leave with like swollen cheeks and like black eyes.
Well, and they leave immediately. Like, aren't we supposed to go to class or some shit? No,
Yeah.
we're just immediately
fuck
out
all
of there.
that. No, fuck all that.
You juvenile delinquents.
So they're all pissed off. You get this girl trying to hang on Kaneda, and he doesn't want any part of it.
He's like, get
he's-
away from me.
Oh yeah,
He
before
really,
this,
like,
Kay
dismissing
blew.
her.
He tried to
Yeah.
flirt with Kay, and Kay blew him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already got heat for K.
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Yeah, he
100%.
doesn't give a shit. Then we get the Tetsuo wakes up in the hospital. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then he just, I guess, leaves. This is you'd think somebody with like super psychic powers, they would put maybe a guard at the door or something, but he apparently just cuts the fuck out.
Right.
He finds his girlfriend, and they sit around and talk, and they're like, "Hey," Tetsuo's like, "Hey, let's just leave here because this place sucks," which he's
Right.
not wrong.
Yeah.
We find out that I think this is also where they talk to the psychic girl who looks really weird and has in the 2001 has a very annoying voice. She tells of a prophecy.
It's not much better in the other dub.
Yeah, I would imagine. She tells of a prophecy involving Tetsuo and Akira that they're going to lead to the same shit that happened in 1988.
They're going to cause World War
Their
IV.
their fates are linked or something
their
like
fates
that.
are linked. Kaneda finds out that his bike's been stolen by Tetsuo.
Yeah.
Tetsuo is just driving around.
I'm pretty sure they saw Tetsuo steal his bike.
Maybe they like just I think they're leaving the little bar thing that they hang out at. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, he steals it. He's got his girlfriend with him. They're headed off, and they go through clown territory.
Yeah.
Bad
the clowns
choice.
stop him.
Bad choice.
The clowns don't stop him. The bike stops working because you apparently have to keep it up to so many RPMs,
Or it
chokes out. And he didn't know that. And just as he's finding that out, his girlfriend's like, "Oh, hey, there's some bikes coming. Are those our people?" And no, they are not.
They are not.
No.
So the clowns start beating the shit out of Tetsuo, and they're going to assault his girlfriend.
And they do.
And they physically assault her, and then they seem like they're going to do some other stuff. But they really beat the shit out of her.
They beat the shit out of her.
And they're going to set the bike on fire, and just then
and then the capsules
show up.
Yeah, the capsules show up. Kind of does this really cool thing where he's on the back of a bike and it keeps going.
He gets
and
off
he
and just
jumps
runs.
off and starts running.
Yeah,
and then like does another jumping knee to knock another guy off a bike. That's it. He's really good at that move.
The scene is awesome. But it's also like this is the scene where, for me personally, especially like going back and watching it again, that you start to lose respect for any kind of like the underdog part of Tetsuo that you might have like connected with in any way starts to slowly decline for me, because this scene right here is when they show up and he's getting his shit kicked out of him by the clowns, and Kaneda and the boys show up and save him, and he's sitting there and he's like trying to regain his himself, and he's breathing or whatever, and Kairi, his girlfriend or whatever, it's like she's got like a jacket on, like just hanging on her like broken body, and she's starting to slowly kind of saunter towards Tetsuo, and she's just like, Tetsuo, and he's like, "Leave me alone!" It just runs off like a little bitch.
Yeah, everybody, all the most of the main characters are little shits.
Yeah. But it's also here where he's having like these terrible migraines.
He gets a headache right when he's trying to leave, and you see like a flash of something that happens later.
Yeah,
in the
there's
movie.
there's like a really quick flash of a whole bunch of images, most things that are about to happen. Some dudes in suit show up, and they take Tetsuo. They fuck Kaneda up. The guy just like punches him and knocks him down.
He's our friend. What are you doing?
And then he sees the colonel as they're like taking off with Tetsuo.
Yeah, we see the colonel again.
I'm going to bring up Lord of the Flies. Hi, English majors coming in here. So real quick, we're talking about children here, and we're talking about, and I wonder what age the clowns necessarily are. I think they might be portrayed as older, but also
they're definitely
completely
portrayed as older. It's hard to say,
but at the very least, they're more incompetent, than the capsules are.
Right.
But this always stuck out to me. The end of the Lord of the Flies is one of the hardest jolts back into reality, because you've been going for like 100, 150 pages with these children that are acting and making decisions as though they were adults, and very serious and very stern and very evil adults in one particular sense. And then you get they come out of the underbrush chasing one that they're looking to kill, and it's an expeditionary force from the actual Navy, actual adult men, and they look on them and they see like their tattered choir uniforms, which they've been using as if the medals like they would have won from like being children, and they're children again, and like they're crying, and like because the wave of everything kind of hit them.
Right.
That's kind of thematically what's going on there. Like they're able to beat the clowns because at the very least on a mental level, I think the clowns are on the same level as the capsules. Maybe not in age. I do think the clowns are a little bit older. But then when you get professional military, like Black Ops / Men in Black kind of deal, these are children. And they are just like get away.
You're helpless.
You're boom done.
So the leader of the clowns, his name is Joker. Just like the fan wiki said like he was ages somewhere in the mid-20s.
So even not too far off, but still a little bit older. But again, like if the clowns weren't incompetent, I think they would be more than a match for the capsules. So I think that's where you get the divide there.
And now we go back to the hospital.
Well,
right?
During there's
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Dawn. Like this is the moment. This is the first moment where that musical interlude comes in the '89, at least in the '89 dub. I don't know if they maybe have changed it.
It's the same.
Yeah, I think the music's the same. Usually the score is the same.
The first time that hit, okay, this is where, but then they overused it, and upon subsequent viewings, I'm always like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that kind of takes me out of the movie.
I can see that.
I wanted to get that out of the way because there's a lot more to praise about this.
Yeah. We also see a scene of the leader of the resistance talking with this other old man, and even this, like, it's just them walking,
Right.
and like you could see like just the background is so vibrant and full, and like all the buildings, like you can like Jesus Christ, this movie. But yeah, they're talking about how you find out that like the resistance is the guy that was trying to get the kid. That was a dude from the resistance,
Who is working with a government official.
Yeah, you find out later this guy is a government official. You think he's kind of cool right now. He turns out to be a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
Who gets what he deserves.
Yep.
So yeah, then we go back to Tetsuo waking up in the hospital, and we get a really trippy sequence of like
shit gets real.
Yeah, where
You mean fake because it's hallucinations?
Yeah.
Shit gets surreal.
we find out like the psychic kids are fucking with him because like it starts off with just like these little stuffed animals like climbing around on him, and he's freaking out, and then some like big stuffed animals that are made of toys
and bleeding milk.
Yeah.
bleeding
I
milk
want to
come
stress
after
that.
him.
Yeah.
Wait, it's just milk.
Yeah, it's just milk. Wait, for me, that would be like, what the fuck's all this milk doing here?
Yeah. Unexplained milk is always weird.
Yeah.
Acid trip is the
That's-
best way to
hold on,
describe this.
Okay, Jay, clip that and put that. That's our first new soundboard file, which is unexplained milk is always weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brady
Yeah.
Davis. All right.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good
And then
one.
he takes himself out of the hallucination when he steps on a piece of broken glass.
And they go, blood.
Yeah, they don't like the sight of blood.
and then their powers fade away, and he realizes
That's when you see that like it's them, like the
Because the teddy bear melts off of their faces.
yeah.
Yeah.
You see that each, because it was like a teddy bear, a rabbit, and then a car.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a stuffed car. And you see that all of them were the little kids that you've seen earlier.
Guess which one the car was.
I want to be in a Suzuki Speedwagon. I think that would be a very good idea for my character.
So
I'm
Tetsu's
Marlon Brando.
like what the fuck?
He's like, I'm not happy right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find
figure
the
out
people
what-
that are trying to
Yeah.
kill me.
Yeah, so he starts doing that, and then Kaneda finds Kay, and he starts following her, and he's a big doofus and can't take no for a fucking
Hell no, he can't.
answer. Like she is like way past, and she doesn't give a shit
No.
about him. Like she has bigger fish to fry. And he's just like, hey, you want to go out? Hey, you want to go out?
Hey, after this, you want to go out?
Yeah.
There is one point in the middle of that where you see that she's kind of slightly charmed by his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is a little. It is the 80s, so like women are
right.
charmed by that stupid shit. But so he ends up like following her.
And joining their rescue.
He ends up joining the rescue because he hears about their plan.
Yeah.
They kind of lock him in a room, and then he gets out, and they
They put a gun to his head.
they put a fucking gun to his head because they're talking about like, hey, they have this other subject.
Yeah.
and they're talking about Tetsuo.
Yeah, and he goes, "That's my friend."
Yeah, and he's like, we got to get this guy because he's apparently like somehow they know that like he's super powerful and shit.
Right.
And this is a problem, so we got to go take care of him. So he's like, hey, let me help you. I'll join up with you.
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, he's bait at least. I
Right,
don't know.
right.
Like,
He's a body for us.
yeah, he's a body that can take bullets.
Speaking of which,
This scene that we're about to talk about, if we're about to get into the hallway scene, are we?
I think
right before this is
Okay.
also is the council scene.
Okay,
where we get a
gotcha.
little background.
Oh, yeah,
we
right.
get them talking about how Akira was actually responsible. You think that it's a nuclear bomb,
Right.
if you've never watched this before,
Right.
but you realize that it was Akira going a little crazy. Was what caused that explosion, and that basically set off World War III.
But the government officials don't really buy into that, or
Yeah.
at least it seems like
Yeah,
they're not buying
the-
into it as
you see that
much.
the-
And I'll give credit to the script on this one here. It's this shifting oil on water because some of them believe it, some of them don't.
Yeah.
Some of them, I believe, don't believe it, but purport that they do. There's at least again, this is for the '89 dub. I think it was very well done out here, where you have a bunch. And I want to say there's an element of cosmic horror to all of this that kind of like is a blanket over everything.
Right,
there.
yeah.
This is something that none of them, and because I mentioned earlier, you have scientists, military, if all these people that are coming at this with their own like precepts or pretensions on what they think things are,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really cover all of it, and so they together they could have had all of the pieces, but because they're only focusing on one sort of thing of like, how can I use this to get more powerful? What can I do to stop this from destroying the world? What can I do to advance the field of science? They're all coming out with different goals and objectives in this, and no one's working together. So that scene where everybody's yelling at one another is, I think, perfectly encapsulates that whole kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and
going
you can
on there.
see like it's clicking with the kernel of what's going on.
Yeah. And
Right
you also
then.
notice that you see the guy that was talking to the resistance earlier, you're like, oh, hey, that guy was talking with the resistance. And you notice that like he's not really saying much. And
Right.
you also notice that he has that he kind of looks like a rat.
He
has,
does look
these
like a rat.
teeth.
He
And
does
you're
look like a rat.
Oh, he might not be the greatest guy.
when
'Cause
I saw him, the only thing I thought of was Wormtail from Harry Potter.
this guy might not. And so like they all get into an argument with the colonel because the colonel's like, hey, just let me do my job, let me do this shit. I know what's going on. And the other
Right.
people are like, no, you're full of shit. This
Yeah.
has yielded no results. Like we're like, this is bullshit. And they get into a fight about that. Then we cut to Tetsuo deciding like, hey, I'm gonna go find these fuckers who are just fucking with me. And he goes on a fucking rampage.
So real quick before we get into some of the small gory details of this scene, this hallway scene that's coming up is another like quintessential scene from. There's a lot of those in this movie.
Yeah.
This scene this one scene inspired two things. They heavily borrowed from it for story ideas and things of that nature. One is Elfin Lied or Elfin Lied.
Yeah.
I got very heavy
Lucy vibes from it.
Lucy, yeah.
Yeah.
And a video game on the PS1 known as Galarians.
I haven't heard of that.
Where the main protagonist and even some of the other characters, but the main protagonist, you had three different drugs that you had to find to keep from psyching out, basically, and each one had a different ability. One was telekinesis, one was pyrokinesis, and I don't remember what the third kinesis was.
Yeah.
But whenever your medicine meter ran out, you walked really slow, and anytime that you walked past NPCs, things would happen that we are about to describe that happened in this hallway scene.
Yeah. So Tetsu decides to go. Oh, I've seen the picture. I've seen the cover of that. I haven't.
Galarians.
I never played the game, but
It's
I've
really
seen the cover.
fun.
Yeah. That I remember seeing that in like an ad.
Heavily
or something.
inspired from this one scene.
Yeah. The beginning of Elfin Lied is like taken straight from this.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just decides he's gonna find out where the fuck these kids are. I think he finds out somehow that they're in like the baby. Somebody mentions like the baby room or something like that.
I think the doctor that was like going to like stop him, like mentioned like don't let him near the baby room.
Yeah. So he's like, well, I'm going. The baby room sounds like a pretty cool place, so I'm gonna fucking go there.
I wonder if the babies are in the baby room.
Yeah. So he takes off and just starts fucking shit up. They try to, I think the colonel also gets some there's a part here where the colonel gets like, hey, Tetsuo's awake and he's fucking shit up.
Right.
But
Yeah, he's popping heads left and right.
yeah, he's popping heads. Like he's like they're trying to they try and stop him at first with like I think it's like they use gas, right? They use like tear gas and shit like
tear
that.
gas, rubber bullets and shit
And then
like that.
finally they're like, no, we got to use real bullets.
Like,
Right.
fuck this. He's getting too close.
Well,
Shoot him.
He just like looks at a hallway and half of it's gone.
Yeah. Like he just like you just see like
Blood
sometimes
smears
you'll
everywhere.
see him like do stuff, and then sometimes you'll just see an aftermath of like just crumpled bodies with blood everywhere.
You'll just see somebody just like slam against the wall.
Oh yeah, there's also the one this is the same part where there's also like he makes a psychic bubble and it just like explodes somebody and then there's like blood and like limbs drip from the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's also
Jesus
when he
Christ.
gets close to the baby room, he makes everything kind of like implode a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, like it is ridiculous.
But beautiful to look at.
Yeah,
From an animation
in such
standpoint.
a way. In a certain way.
Yeah.
So he gets to the baby room and the kids try doing their little
They try
weird,
doing the hallucination.
hallucination thing again. He's like, nah,
No,
fuck all
fuck that.
I know you guys are
I know
children
your tricks.
This is also when the colonel finds out about this. This is also when they are like, hey, we're arresting you. And he's like, no, I don't think I'll do that today. I think I'm going to take over everything.
Yeah.
At the same time, we also cut to the sewers where they're trying to get to the
but really quick, the colonel, like they all got guns drawn. It's like a Mexican standoff, and they all got guns drawn. The colonel's just like, "Hey, you shoot him!" And the guy just shoots him in the stomach.
Yeah, and then that guy
takes the
gets
other guy.
no, and then that guy gets shot, and it's like, wait a minute. Let me just do this, and then they do, and it's game over. Yeah.
And then he's like, arrest all of the council.
No, that's after.
Oh, that's after.
That is after.
That's after.
Okay. Yeah, and then we see.
Well, no, he gives the orders: go out and arrest all of the council.
Yeah.
They don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
Yeah, nobody like So he starts a little coup. He just does a tiny
a
small military coup. We also cut to the sewers where Kaneda and the Resistance and K are all infiltrating. Is this where they have the little fight in the hall in the tunnels?
Yeah,
Or
I
is
think
that a little bit
so.
extra?
Like on the little flying thing.
Yeah, because
Because they get there to the baby room like a little after Tetsuo. So
so there's guys on like flying bikes, kind of like hovering over.
These really,
checking
like,
out.
hover bikes, but they have
It's
like
a little pod kind of.
yeah, but they have like a gigantic
Gatling
ass
guns.
machine gun.
They're the speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi, just with more Gatling
with-
guns.
if the speeder bike was half Gatling gun,
They mow down one specific
if
guy.
the front part
Yeah.
of the speeder in Return of the Jedi was just a Gatling gun,
It doesn't look like this. The thing they use in this movie doesn't look like it should be able to fly.
No.
It doesn't.
So yeah, they're fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Another guy becomes a bullet sponge.
Yeah.
Kaneda takes one of these because apparently that's his thing.
Yeah.
He does another flying knee kick.
Yeah, he's really good at this flying knee.
yeah.
He's got one move and it's really good at it. It's like a Ronda Rousey arm bar. Like he's only good at one thing, but man, when it goes off, it goes off.
He gets his own Gatling bike and shoots another guy. Grabs Kay and he starts flying through the tunnels.
Yeah, the other guy, they're just the other guy who was the leader of the resistance. They're just like, fuck you. But they're just like, hey, we got to go because more people are coming.
Right.
I think his name is Ryu. I think.
Yeah, Ryu. Yeah,
Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu.
Mm-hmm.
He does the Shoryuken. It's,
Yeah.
it's minimally effective.
Yeah. He didn't use strong punch on that one. Would have been unblockable. So now everything converges at the baby room. Tetsuo's freaking out on the kids. The colonel shows up. I think at this time Kay and Kaneda show up as well.
I believe so. Yeah.
Before Kay and Kaneda show up, Tetsuo, he's having a conversation with the bubble baby.
Yeah. She's the one with the prophecy.
Yeah.
Right.
From earlier.
And at this point, he figures out who
Akira is.
Akira is.
Yeah, and they tell him like, "Hey, it's at the Olympic Stadium."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go
check this shit out.
No, wait, you weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll tell you." Oh shit, why did I do that?
No, they didn't tell him. He read.
read her
mind. Okay, yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that little thing.
Yeah, and they're like, "We're not gonna tell you." He's at the Olympic Stadium. Oh shit!
Yeah. Oh, we got to stop him. Damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Tetsuo like shit goes pear shaped. Tetsuo escapes and he decides to go to the Olympic Stadium, which you see earlier. They're building just outside of like
Which,
Tokyo.
real quick, they couldn't have known this at the time this was, but the 2020 Olympics were in Tokyo.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And so this was timing just perfectly for that. That's so what I'm saying is, why didn't this happen? I would have preferred this to fucking COVID.
That would have been so much better.
I love. Go ahead, Ethan. What were you
Prior
gonna
to Tetsuo escaping and flying off into the distance, Kei and Kaneda show up and they're like, "Come on, Tetsuo, we're rescuing you." And Tetsuo's like, "You're not going to be doing that anymore."
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
I figured all this shit
I
out.
don't need you.
I don't need
anymore.
you.
And then bam, attempted murder.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, you know, you see the military guys for some reason are like guarding the center, I guess, because that's where Akira is why they're there. And they say
earlier they do go to the you see them going underground.
Right, to check out the
and
layout.
you see this big thing that just says Akira on it.
Yeah, it's a big ass cryogenic chamber. They see this dude from a distance. They're like, "Hey, you can't be here. This is a military controlled zone."
Before that though,
He goes back to the
Tetsuo
bar.
goes to the bar.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
that's
other,
right.
And the other two gang members are there, and he's like giving them shit because he kills the bar owner because he shows up and is like, "Hey, I want your strongest shit," and the guy gives him shit, and he's like, "No, well, I'm just gonna wreck the place." So they show up, the place is wrecked. Tetsuo's like, "Hey, tell me where Kaneda's bike is,"
Right.
And they're like, "No, fuck you." So he kills one of them,
Right.
And then he decides to just start walking to the
Yep.
Olympic Stadium.
He just walked into the stadium and they were like, "Hey, you can't be here." And then they're like, "Wait a minute."
Before all this, like there's tanks tried to stop him.
Oh, yeah.
And he this is where you get the iconic where it's just like this sleeveless shirt and jeans, and then he rips this
rips a
red
curtain.
this red like curtain or drape or something,
And
wraps
turns it into
around
a cape.
Turns it into a cape. If you've seen a picture of Tetsuo, you've probably seen it exactly looking like exactly like this. He fucks up a tank. He stops a tank shell, which is really cool.
I think he punches the asphalt, right? And the tank just like flips over or something.
I think so, but I just remember like he puts his hands up and stops the and it slows down and the tank shell
I don't
slows
even
down.
think he put his hands up. I think it just
yeah,
came
yeah,
at him
that's-
and it just stopped.
It just stopped.
Explodes.
Yeah.
He does
Saying,
that.
like-
He does that earlier at the beginning of like the rampage in the hallway. But later, like he just like stops it without doing
anything really. Yeah.
And he gets some people thinking like, oh, this is Akira, because you see earlier there's like this cult guy. Who in the manga is a much bigger deal,
Right.
Because this is basically all of this like is drawn out in the manga, if I remember correctly. I read a synopsis. I need to read the manga, but I
did
read a
too.
synopsis a while back, and like this is all kind of drawn out. This takes place over like several days and weeks, I think.
Right.
But you see this like weird cult guy following him, and they're like, "Oh, that's Akira. That's Akira." Because there's like this cult of Akira
that believe he's the savior.
that believe he's the savior.
Cleanse the world, if
Yeah.
you will.
It's at this point where the colonel decides to, okay, we're going to take out Tetsuo.
Yeah.
Then the military officials, the government officials come in and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're under arrest. Hey, underling, shoot this guy."
Yeah. Hey, you're under arrest. Joke's on you. Now you're under arrest.
No, I have more guns around you. That means you can't arrest me.
He pulls out the only Uno reverse card
And-
in the series.
Yeah, hits him with that. You expose my trap card. Boom. Coup.
And then also about the same time as we're about to get to this scene here, because it's pretty much we're getting close to the end, where we get rat face government guy.
Yeah, rat face government guy is like, oh shit, they're coming.
Yeah.
It's like the Colonel double crossed me.
So he's
Worm Tail does his best and tries to flee.
yeah,
Well,
he's
before
packing
that-
up like these like bonds and
Money
just
and
money
stuff.
and he can't fit it in, and he's like
And the
running
assistant's burning all the fucking records in
and
the
then
fireplace.
throwing the
It just has
records
literal,
in the
like-
fireplace.
like throwing the records in the
and,
fireplace.
and that's when his contact from the resistance shows up, and he's kind of like,
well, that's
Ryu.
yeah. So he somehow escapes, and then he's in the streets.
Right.
And Ryu, who is like on death's door, like he's bleeding profusely.
Well, he showed up in the office. He shows up in the office,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then the rat guy, which is
The
what
rat
is-
guy shoots him. Yeah.
He shoots him once and fires several times, but then like doesn't get any more shots in
Yeah.
on him. Throws the gun down. The guy falls on the carpet.
Yeah.
and then
That's how he gets- yeah.
rat guy like ducks out.
Yeah.
and he's like got a mouthful of pills because the heart medicine.
Yeah,
and
he's got-
he can't swallow them.
Yeah.
because of how fucking panicked he is.
Yeah. So yeah, you get Tetsuo leading this crowd of people through the streets.
Mm-hmm.
They come to a bridge, and then there's tanks on the bridge, and Tetsuo is just like, "Well, I'll just destroy the bridge," and everybody who's following him on
Dies.
Yeah.
yeah.
So he just like collapses the bridge. The bridge. It's really cool because like the bridge like sections off and turns
Right.
sideways and all just
Breaks up
slides
in a
down.
very cool
you see
way.
the
You
cult
see
leader
all
guy.
the cultists kind of like slide off the
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah, he's fucking them all up. You also see the rat guy. He's in the an alleyway.
Yeah.
and he's coming down, and Ryu kind of is following him. I believe he just the rat face guy just kind of dies of a heart attack.
He just
right?
has a heart attack,
Yeah.
and Ryu kind of just slumps over and
yeah.
dies
But-
there.
Yeah, probably from profuse blood loss.
He's been shot several times throughout this
Yeah, but
movie.
I'm
you
pretty sure he
also-
got shot in the head by the one.
Yeah.
For me, and this goes back to something that we've watched. I always think of the fat mobster from the Lochnar episode in Heavy Metal.
Right.
No,
Okay.
yeah, because
Yeah.
again, it's just kind of like this. What the fuck? Like, this person has power
Right.
for no other reason because you can see he's also like duplicitous as fuck,
Yeah.
and eventually gets his comeuppance.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's where I kind of flashed my.
But something I did notice in this one is that Ryu kind of collapses to his knees, like right in the street, like right on the sidewalk.
Right.
So, and you see this kind of smile on his face because he sees the revolution that he's
Right.
been trying to foment. He's
Right.
like, okay, this is actually happening. He's a little bit wrong,
Right.
but you know, he dies seeing the revolution that
Right.
he's been trying to bring about, which is kind of an interesting thing.
And now we finally get to see Tetsuo walking towards the center.
Yeah. So he finally gets to the Olympic Stadium.
You can't be here. Wait a minute.
And
Is
these
that the
guys, for
escape?
some reason, have not been told that this guy is
like,
headed
wait a
this
minute.
way.
Is
Yeah.
that the escape, dude?
You'd think they'd at least hit, hey, red alert, motherfuckers.
Hey,
There's gonna be a guy that's
The,
coming
Is
for you.
coming.
yeah, the guy who's been destroying half the city is coming your way.
by looking at it.
Yeah.
The
Wait.
person whose powers rival the powers that you're protecting, yeah, he's coming after you.
Wait a minute. Is that the guy who escaped?
Yeah.
Like,
shit.
whoa.
So he fucks all of them up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then gets to the stadium and unearths the
Giant
the
sphere.
giant sphere holding Akira.
Well, before this,
Before this they fight, right?
yes, because
So Kaneda like finds out, Tetsuo killed one of my friends, so he gets the bite. He does this real cool thing where he dresses back up in the really cool get up.
Oh, yeah.
and he takes the
Well,
the cloth
first
off
there's
the
the
bike.
fight with K.
yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
He fights K,
He
which
fights
is
K
not
first, yeah.
K.
it's the bubble baby.
Yeah,
Oh
it's-
yeah. Because
I think
forget.
Kyoko. I think is
Yeah,
the one.
Kyoko,
Kyoko.
yes.
Yeah. Shit, I forgot about this. Where
It's-
there
it's
is a
stand-
point where
There's so much.
We're
This
kinda-
movie is dense.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything
yeah,
going
because
on
it's
with it.
6 volumes of a fucking humongous manga that they
Right.
condensed into 2 hours. But
Right.
so there is a point where Kyoko, the weird girl, possesses Kei and
Right.
basically tells like she disappears from Kaneda as they escape.
Right.
And is like, hey, she's gonna help us fight Tetsuo, and
Yeah.
she kind of fights like as her possessing Kei kind of
Yeah.
fights Tetsuo a little
That
bit.
happens after he unearths the spear.
Okay, so he unearths the spear
because he unearths, he goes into the bowels of the building, of the facility, and uses his psychic abilities to rip the spear asunder from the foundation, and you see all these really cool animations of all these like vents and like
the slow-mo
the slow-mo,
coming
yeah.
through with the
vents
steam
and like
coming out of them.
like,
Jesus
like
Christ,
hoses
that's-
popping off and all this really cool shit.
That probably took a week to fucking animate.
And you see the ball kind of moving a little bit as though it's walking in this mist or whatever, and then it kind of just, he sets it down and kind of just Tetsuo just kind of breaks it apart.
Yeah.
And then then you have you have we're getting to right now, which is like the final countdown kind of thing.
Yeah. Does he find out about Akira before or after the fight?
He finds
before.
he breaks open the area where Akira is being held in different containers.
Yeah, he finds out that it's not the body of Akira,
It's
like
just
frozen, like he thought. It's pieces of.
It's pieces of Akira in cryogenic cylinders.
Yeah, like here's optic nerves, and here's a piece of his spinal cord, and like
and then Shikishima is like, "Yep, yeah, that's all that's left of him." Really wish you hadn't blown up half of Neo Tokyo for this shit.
Yeah.
Then-
Don't you feel dumb?
Yeah. Then this is when Tetsuo fights. Kaneda.
Tetsuo's driving that way, and he stops and gets him a really cool laser gun.
Kaneda, you said
Kaneda.
Kaneda.
Yeah,
Kaneda.
Canada. Yeah, he gets a really cool laser gun, and he drives through. And then we have what is, I think, one of the best, really fucking one of the best fight scenes of all time. It's somewhere on the list. I don't know how high up, but like you get the. So this is also a very memed part where they're both yelling at each other, Kaneda, Tetsuo.
Right. Or Kaneda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, so they're pissed off.
It would be like a 14-year-old TikTok star with a bike TikTok who would go up to a creature that has been obliterating everything and go, "I'm gonna fight you."
There's a really cool
You killed my
dialogue.
friend, fuck you.
There's a really cool dialogue sequence that happens right before that I want to get to before. So Tetsuo's sitting there with all these vials and cylinders of what used to be Akira, and he's in there. What is this? Some sort of science experiment? Some sort of science project? And then you hear and then you see Kaneda like walking up the rubble or whatever. It's like, Tetsuo, I thought you'd be crying by now.
At one point, they're fighting, and the battery to his laser gun runs out. It's like, my gun is out of battery. Fight me with your fists.
Yeah.
And then
There's a really cool thing where like Kaneda like shoots from the hip and just shoots Tetsuo through the fucking chest, and he's just like, "Oh, that didn't kill me. What? Okay, cool."
Right. And then we get like me and Jay were talking before,
And then lasers from orbit.
Yeah.
Why didn't we
orbital
deploy
laser.
this in the fucking beginning?
the colonel's like, initiate the Sol protocol.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck
And then
is
like
that?
everything goes blue,
Like,
and
this-
they're like, "Oh shit!"
Like there's blue light shimmering around. It was like, wait, what's all this blue light for?
We cut to a fucking satellite, and a laser comes down from fucking space and blows Tetsuo's
General
arm
Sid
off.
is trying to blow up the bad spirits, but Ming Na Wen is trying to keep that
Jesus
from
Christ.
happening.
We get this-
and then fucking Alec Baldwin saves us.
We get this
That's Akira.
Yeah,
that's what happens. No,
That's
that was
the only
Final Fan-
reference for the
Yeah,
spirits
that's
for within
Final
since the
Fantasy
movie.
the spirits
we
within.
get this really cool like setup though, where this light sort of like bathes them both, and then you see little like fragments of dirt and rock kind of start to float
it
up a
looks
little bit,
So fucking cool.
and then
And then it blows Tetsuo's arm off.
Yeah.
And then like then you see the aftermath, and everything is like rubble that wasn't already fucking rubble.
And
The funniest fucking thing in the whole fucking movie. Tetsuo's like laying there, like, "Oh my god, my fucking arm," and Kaneda is standing up
With a rock.
with a fucking rock. Tetsuo, I'm gonna fuck you up.
damn you.
Like, this motherfucker is like, "I will kill you even if I have to use a fucking rock."
And then this motherfucking Saiyan kid flies up
Well,
into
no,
okay.
there's a
second
second
shot.
shot.
Second
They
shot.
try a second
right,
shot,
right.
and he sees it before,
Yeah.
and
he
like
flies-
causes a barrier.
Yeah.
And Tetsuo's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And then he like runs.
so they both
He
dodge the
runs
laser,
from the laser from space.
Yeah.
and then Tetsuo just flies through the clouds.
And this is also a really cool like moment in the movie because all the sound cuts out
Yeah,
completely.
when he gets in space, all the
there
sound
is
cuts
no
out.
sound whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's really fucking cool. He takes control of the fucking laser
And just starts blowing
just
shit
starts
up
shooting
from
everywhere.
space.
And like fucking up everything and kind of still running from the lasers.
Yes.
His friend comes by with a motorcycle and is like, oh, jump on it. Like they just miss it. And then he blows the shit up. And then he comes back down and he's like, okay, fuck all of you.
Yeah.
This is when
And
like,
then in the next scene, shit gets crazy.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
what's
you're
wild?
like, it can't get any crazier.
What's wild?
And you are wrong.
What's wild?
You are
is
fucking wrong.
Fucking Tetsuo gets done with all that. Basically, like throws the satellite into the fucking Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
Causes
it's-
the satellite to crash onto
yeah,
fucking Tokyo.
And like one of the military guys is talking to the colonel. It's like, what's that? And the colonel's like, that's Seoul.
Oh, we can't use this
We
anymore.
can't use it. And like so we get Tetsuo is sitting on his throne of rock.
He creates a new arm.
He creates a new arm out of rubble.
and this is another technical thing to where like all
it's
the
very
pieces
pretty.
come together, like all the individual
Yeah.
pieces come together to make the tendons and
he's
all
got to
this.
chill for a minute because he's wiped out from all this action he's been
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Well, he flew out into
He
space.
just
Yeah.
fly out of space and fight a laser.
Yeah.
He makes like an Akira altar behind his
Yeah, he
throne.
puts all the pieces of
He puts
Akira.
all the pieces together, and he like Jay said, like he sculpts an arm out of nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there, and he's like, "Nah, it's an all right arm. It'll work or whatever." Because
He's having a conversation with
with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having
Somehow she fucking
she
shows
shows
up.
Yeah.
Kyrie, where the fuck have you
He
been?
probably teleport. Hey, Kyrie, come with
Again,
me.
this part right here like takes place over a
Right.
longer period of time in the manga, so
Right.
like it makes more sense.
Right.
And it's really even more fucked up what happens to Kyrie. in
And
this-
so
Yeah.
in the
we're getting to
manga.
that. But he's having
But-
a conversation with Kyrie for a little bit, and all of a sudden, like Kanata.
Well, you see, like he puts his new arm down on the throne, and like
Right.
it starts like spreading out and like growing and shit. He's
And then
like,
he
oh,
covers it with his
oh
cape.
shit! So you know, like he's
And-
losing
and
control of
And
it.
here's a moment where he goes, Kyrie, go away.
Yeah,
And
He
then-
tells her to leave.
yeah.
and then the colonel shows up.
The colonel
And then the
shows up.
colonel shows up.
He's like, if you gotta kill a kid, I guess I'll do it myself.
But he also offers to heal him.
Well,
Yeah.
he kept it like Tetsuo's like, I
mind
need.
you, he has a gun drawn this entire time.
Tetsuo's like, I need my medicine. Like, please, I need my
Yeah.
medicine. The colonel's like, oh, this is okay. We're gonna bring it back. Everything's gonna be fine. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So then he like his arm tries to eat the colonel.
Yeah.
Like in a big mass of flesh and technology and like metal parts and circuits and shit.
Just flies
fly out.
Yeah.
To the like, god damn, this is so gross.
yeah.
And it just starts absorbing the fucking
Right.
the fucking kernel.
And then we get a little laser beam.
and then-
Yeah, then the
Can-
laser beam shoots out.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that scene where they tried to recharge the laser gun with the
Oh
motorcycle.
yeah,
Yeah.
They this takes place over a little bit of time. There's like basically he destroys the laser and then like a night passes and then in the morning they try
Right.
again because him Kaneda, the other biker gang guy, and Kay are all sitting by a fire.
Right.
They're trying to charge up the laser with
the other guy's motorcycle.
Not Kaneda. Kaneda's like, fuck you, I'm not using mine for this because the other guy's
Bike caught on fire.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, the guy gets up to, it's like yelling at him, like, hey, your bike's still on fire. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Batman real quick.
Okay, sure.
So Batman the animated series, the first
Okay.
episode that to my knowledge ever aired was the first Clayface episode.
It was.
And if you remember the body horror of that, where like Batman tricks him into a control room
Yeah.
and starts showing Matt Gargan all the photos of what he used
Yeah.
to look
And he
like,
comes into
it
different forms.
He starts losing form and
Yeah.
control,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and then particularly the part where he's trying to suffocate Batman by like basically throwing all of himself
Yeah.
at Batman,
Right.
And like I have to believe this scene was at the very least someone saw that and there was some inspiration
Well,
of that
again,
because
like,
of how it went
the
off.
Akira slide is in Batman
Yeah.
the Animated Series, so they watch the people who
Right.
made that
Oh, yeah.
that show. Watch
I have
this.
to
Oh,
think
yeah.
of just how the
Yeah.
way that
100%.
scene
Oh
played
yeah,
out.
oh yeah, like tons of like animated body horror stuff like was influenced by this scene. So yeah, Kaneda like shoots him with a laser and it stops him from absorbing the kernel. But then Tetsuo starts losing control
Of his whole body.
of his entire body. And good Lord, like he
Does-
starts growing and like pieces start changing and he turns into
Just
like
enlarging
he
himself.
gets like a giant baby head. And,
Yeah, right.
the
and-
giant flesh metal baby.
yeah, and he starts absorbing Kyrie.
Yeah.
And then he starts absorbing Kaneda. And then he starts absorbing the kernel.
Well, yeah, like the arm goes out, like he has no control over anything, and he absorbs Kyrie in. And I was talking about this to Jay earlier. He absorbs Kyrie in, and then as soon as Kaneda gets absorbed into Tetsuo,
yeah.
you hear an internal voice say, Kaneda, I need your help. I think Kyrie is.
Yeah.
It happens at the like
I
immediately.
can feel her. He was like, I can feel her pain. And I'm
as soon as he
absorbing her.
says that, she turns into blood.
Yeah. Jesus
Like
Christ.
it's like it's like an audible like pop.
yeah. And then like a hand comes up and like the fingers become little hands.
The
Yeah.
fingers
And
have
then
little fingers.
There's flesh going on.
Yeah, there's
like,
fingers on fingers.
This is literally impossible to
It's body
describe.
horror at its
It is,
maximum.
It is, yeah, like
Yeah.
it
It's
is
the greatest scene David Cronenberg ever filmed without David Cronenberg
Oh
ever
yeah,
filming it.
David Cronenberg beats off to this
Yeah.
scene.
That's
And
when
then-
the kids show up.
This is when
Yeah, the kids show up
The
and,
three kids show up,
and they
they're-
use their power to kind of revive Akira.
Well,
kind of.
yeah.
Well, I
It's like-
think
it's like
the
they're having
term
a-
that was specifically used was they called him back.
yeah,
Yeah, It's like they're having a conversation with him.
Well,
Yeah.
With his
they
pieces.
because one of them is like,
well, like
I'm-
his spirit or something. They
Yeah.
were able
one
to
of
bring
them
back or something like that.
I think it might have been the girl, I can't remember. One of them was like I'm gonna go in and save him. It's like, well,
Yeah.
if you go in there, you're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
come out.
Mhm.
But maybe if all of us can go in there, we can save
save-
him.
Yeah, they're talking about Kaneda.
Right.
Kaneda.
Right.
They're,
And
like,
then
they're like Tetsuo, he's
Right.
gone. Like
Yeah.
there ain't no coming back for him. But maybe we could get this one kid
it's,
out.
and it's interesting too, because not only is he inside of a ever-growing, uncontrollable
Singularity.
yeah, it creates
sea-
like a singularity.
a sea of
you see-
massive body horror.
'Cause you see this little like bowl cut headed boy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Akira."
Yeah,
And
we go into a dimensional portal, it
Yeah.
seems,
Yeah.
and flashbacks start happening.
Yeah, so Kaneda starts seeing all the kids past. He sees Tetsuo's past. He sees his own past.
Yeah.
You see the kids like all kind of like being kind of experimented on, but then they're all
Right.
like they're doing cool things and they're all like happy. You see Akira
You see
there.
Akira is there as a child as well.
We found out by then like they dissected Akira and like that them like tearing him apart basically is what caused the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then they basically like then you see this like light engulfing everything.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to the doctor and he's watching the little
He's
diagram
watching
thing.
the pattern.
And he goes like, "Oh, this is a new universe being
Yeah,
created."
the Colonel's like, "Is there anything we could do?" He's like, "We could study this for ages." He's so
Yeah.
focused on the scientific thing.
Yeah, and then his shit, and then everything like collapses on him, and then you're like, "Great, awesome,
Yeah,
cool,
fuck that guy."
And prior to all of this, Kyoko, is it the girl?
the psychic girl.
Yeah, the psychic
she,
girl.
She teleports the Colonel away from
Yeah.
the sites and
Get
say,
in the
"Get in
tunnel."
the tunnel,
Yeah.
you will be safe."
Yeah,
Right.
because like he is kind of a father figure to them. He doesn't treat them like a father should, but he treats them
He
like
protects them in a
yeah,
way.
he is kind of protective, but he is also very gruff.
Right.
So yeah, in any way you get this like light that you kind of very similar to what you see in the beginning, where it starts enveloping things and enveloping things, and all of a sudden it goes back down, and you see Kaneda there,
Right.
holding this little small dot of light.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh shit, that's Tetsuo and all of them. They're
Right.
gone."
Yeah, he it lands in his hand and he closes his hand.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Whoops! There goes.
Yeah.
There he goes.
And then basically they just go, oh shit, and then they all drive off, and you see his bike's all fucked up.
Yeah.
Neo Tokyo
And they-
explodes once again.
And they drive into
Yeah.
Into the sunset.
into
And
the
then-
sunset.
And then it pans out into like pulsating like black and white, and then you hear, "I'm Tetsuo."
Yeah, it's kind of this is from what I've read. This is kind of like they create a second, like another universe, and they all go there. I guess kind of.
The wiki says, "At an unspecified plane of reality, Tetsuo introduces himself and triggers the creation of a universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally transcending
Hi,
the
'cause
limitations of human
There's
existence."
one thing that's also said that I talked to Jay about earlier, that they're talking about when they were controlling Kay and everything like that. They had mentioned something about she has some
Yes.
ability.
Yeah, oh yeah, they do mention.
They
her.
mentioned that as
They just
though-
go, hey, by the way, she's
and
got some psychic
it's one of the
stuff going
reasons
on.
why she was able to use her as well
Yeah.
as she was.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit. There's one thing we kind of glossed over, which can maybe explain all this. So they mentioned that there's this life force that runs through the planet, and it goes to us now. But it was felt more at the very beginning, at the dawn, with like the original forms of life. I would suggest, and this is just me kind of throwing some stuff out there, that it goes that energy goes beyond life to the very beginning. And what you witnessed was a second Big Bang and the start of a new universe.
sort of.
Both when Akira, happened to Akira, and then when it happened to
Yeah.
Tetsuo.
That's
Right.
interesting,
It's
yeah.
also
And that's
what-
why when calling him back,
Yeah.
they called him back. Tetsuo's not gone.
right.
Yeah.
He is
he's-
literally the building blocks of another universe.
Yeah. That makes sense.
and you know, as far as like what ended up happening to him, it was almost like you know, also talking about influences. This movie influenced things that this movie influenced. Parasite Eve with the mitochondria
Oh, yeah.
rebelling against the body and things like that.
There's
Well,
so
I
much
did
like
it tongue in cheek, but just the Final Fantasy movie, I
Yeah.
think pulls a lot from this,
Oh,
which,
right. Yeah.
which is weird because not Uematsu, Hironobu Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi was the director, directed I think the first 9 Final Fantasies,
yeah.
or was the producer on the first 9
Yeah.
or director or producer rather, excuse me.
Yeah.
The fact that he took it so science fiction and didn't kind of do like his stuff like he did in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was some sort of influence, because I think Square and I think Sony budgeted a lot of that movie, and I wonder if Sony didn't want to do like its own take on Akira, because you think about Akira, like it's more harder science fiction than just cyberpunk,
Right.
But there's still some of those elements in there. I just
Yeah.
wonder if they wanted to try to do an Akira 2. Not
That is
in
right.
not in form,
Yeah,
right.
not in
That is
form, but in
possible.
function.
That's possible. And also, this movie, like a live action version of this, sometimes it's been said that it's going to be made in Japan, and sometimes it's going to be made American made, which I don't think. I think this is so like
Tom Cruise has legitimately said that he would want to head up the production on that.
Yeah.
But this goes back to when he was
well,
30
it's-
years old.
It's like they've said it, and then like so many people. I think at one time like
Leonardo DiCaprio's production
Donald-
company had the rights for it for like 5 years.
I want to say like Donald Glover was attached to it.
I wouldn't be
in some
surprised.
way, either as a producer or something like that. Like there's been so much shit.
don't
I
touch this.
No,
Yeah,
I don't. No,
right.
I don't. Especially this is one of those where like this is so inherent to like Japanese culture that I don't think this
Well,
one
and
needs to be.
particularly Japanese animated
Yeah, Japanese
entertainment.
This is
Yeah.
and like no live action stuff is as good as the anime. I'm sorry, I haven't seen one, especially like movie wise.
I'm gonna say for movie wise, Battle Angel Alita follows the original anime pretty close.
Yeah.
but it still doesn't encapsulate and the anime was just an OVA. It was a
Yeah.
45-minute OVA that never got any more.
Yeah,
But that is to me the height of the uncanny valley, because
Yeah.
Alita just looks off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she
like,
does.
If anybody does like anime in real life and they
Yeah.
do it actually like the anime
Right,
looks, like it's
right.
gonna look
The eyes
super-
are so weird.
What fucking weird. But like the problem with that movie is that it just kind of fucking ends.
Right. Well, that's how the OVA ended.
yeah,
it
which
ended
is
the same
which
way.
is like don't do that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So shit, I forgot what I was. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
What I was going to say is Akira did a lot of things right, and unfortunately for anything that follows, set the highest of bars.
Yes.
With musical production, animated production, dialogue, and the script,
art direction.
all that.
direction.
They set the bar so high that if that was like one of the first animes that you watched, it was like a mature anime.
Yeah.
Which most of the people I know, that was one of their first mature animes they ever watched.
Yeah.
It makes everything even like. I can say Vampire Hunter D is a great anime. It's one of the greatest animes of
Yeah.
that time period. Akira kills it.
Vampire Hunter D looks like it's made for. I love both movies that are
Right.
Vampire Hunter D.
Right.
I even like a lot of people don't like the first one as much. I like the first one.
I like both Vampire Hunter
I like
D
them about
movies.
as much
Yeah.
equally. Like
Yeah.
it's very hard
You
for me
did
to.
your joke about Kissinger at the start of the episode.
Yeah.
The I can't remember the name of the fucking the main vampire in that movie, but he sounds like Henry Kissinger to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And-
he's like a count or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah, like it looks like it's of its time. Like I can't show you
Right.
the original Vampire Hunter D
Right.
and say this was made now. You're gonna be like, no, you're fucking lying, or
Yeah.
they purposely tried to make this look old.
It's got a high production for an anime made in
Yeah.
'85, but it still looks like it was
Yeah.
an anime made in
This
'85.
again, there was like this is kind of like this is very similar to like how Baldur's Gate 3 is now, where so much money and time and effort was put into it that other people could not literally do. That really
As much as the first one on that, to me, it's the time and the effort. Like
Yeah.
this, like we could use like a labor
Well,
of
again,
love,
like-
but this was a creation by the original author where he
Yes.
was given that
Carte-
to me.
carte blanche,
That to
really.
me is the least likely thing to
Right,
happen.
yeah.
Like
Right.
I could see someone being handed, here's $500 million for a new Akira,
Right.
Yeah.
versus hey guy who made Akira, we're giving you complete and total creative
Complete
control.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to use that, and you're going to make an Akira. That would not happen
No.
today,
Yeah.
particularly in the Hollywood. And I would
No.
argue even now in New Tokyo,
Right.
and with how productions are going there. I
well,
think
you look at again Ghost in the Shell, which again I'm not saying is bad. I love that.
It's an amazing
That's a great
film.
movie.
Yeah.
But it still like takes some of the shortcuts that were taken at the time.
You
it
could
still
definitely
does
tell.
little things here
Yeah.
and there. It's still phenomenal to look at, but
Right.
but they do these shortcuts that were not taken. We're not allowed to be taken, and I'm pretty certain that like these people like killed themselves to make this.
Nothing touches this movie like nothing touches the original untouched digitally remastered Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
nothing touches a movie that transcended being just a film. It became an
Yeah.
event.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like influences so much.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a again, I do want to say like if you are kind of a younger person who hasn't experienced Akira, who got into anime from something else, I would imagine like nowadays most people get in watching some kind of shonen or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of shoujo, a lot of shonens, and also like binge watching like like wait for a whole season of a show.
Yeah.
They'll watch like 6 hours of a TV show, but I don't really feel like watching a movie. It's
Yeah.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
2 hours compared to the 10 hours you spent.
It's
on the
2
couch.
hours and
Yeah.
10 minutes of something that will broaden your horizons for
Yeah.
sure.
And a lot of people will like say like one of the criticisms you get is that the movie is kind of a mess, and it is to some extent. But whenever I've watched it, I've never felt like super lost or anything like that. Even though it is like a large volume of things, it is compared to what the manga is, because the manga is super fucking dense,
Right.
I
smushed down.
I will say this: I had to restart the movie 3 times because I fell asleep twice during it, but that's because of my fucked up sleep schedule.
Well,
Yes. Yeah.
But every time I restarted it, I did not complain about it.
Yeah.
I did not complain.
And also there's different, like for me it's also like a really good example, if like, I'm sure for a while, if not now, even outside of take animated out of it, as a storytelling mechanics that they used for introducing characters. It's like you're introduced to the gang. The gang gets into a gang fight. You're introduced to one character because they knows another character in the gang. They start driving down the street in these motorcycles fighting this other gang. Oh, look, they run into like other protagonists and antagonists in the thing. And then it just like everything ties in for the most part. Like,
and there's not much downtime in
No,
this movie.
it's always something.
They give you a little bit of time to breathe every once in a while, because otherwise you'd be white knuckling it the whole time.
And at any point where there's like a slow turn of any sort, then all of a sudden you see hallucinations of giant stuffed animals bleeding into walls.
And then you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
For me, I love all of the scenes in this movie, but taken as a collection of scenes that tells a story, I've always felt Akira is lacking.
I can see that.
I don't. It's not chaos. It's not like you can follow this.
Yeah.
Right.
But I always feel, and again, coming from a 6 or 7 volume piece of work, you're going to have to lose something if you're going to condense it down in 2 hours. This, I will say this is a better condensing down than for something that I love, the 1984 David Lynch Dune, which took a 400-page novel and had to basically and also you have studio interference and a bunch of other stuff there. They had to throw that shit out as fast as they could.
Right.
I think when it comes to like this, especially when it comes to like anime condensing down a manga, like this is most anime movies don't do as well as this one does.
Right. I would argue there are whole TV series that don't do it as well.
That is also true. And I think a lot of that has to do with you had the guy who was creating the manga. Even like in no other place would the manga not even be finished, and they would get this coherent of a story out of it.
Right. Also again, this would be the again to look at it a bit. So there's this guy. His name's Stephen King. He was the director of Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
He wrote Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
There's you have when it all depends on the clay you have. Akira is much better clay than Maximum Overdrive.
Also, cocaine.
Cocaine.
He also wrote for the screen Sleepwalkers for the screen because it was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's most of the reason why Stephen King kind of just says, "Okay, you want to adapt my thing here? Just have it.
Yeah, give me money.
Just give me money.
Give me $1. Thank you, Frank Darabont, and then we're good to go.
Give me money. Here you go. You can have it. I'm not gonna touch this shit. Oh, you want me to be a character in it? I'll do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna have anything to do with like the making of the movie. But yeah, back to Akira.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, if you haven't tried this, if you are a fan of anime, watch this because this movie fucking holds up like no other anime movie from this time holds up. The only thing I think around this time that even is close to it is Ghost in the Shell, and that one pretty much holds up as well too. But this one absolutely holds up very strongly. Again, the story is a little all over the place, but it was like a condensation, and I think it did as best as you possibly could.
And also, I think Ghost in the Shell was like 94, 95.
It was from what I read, from what I saw, it was like a couple of years after this. It was like 91 or 2 maybe.
95.
95. Okay, it was a little ways after this.
95, so like 7 years after.
Yeah. Which is even 5 years after the manga of Akira.
And also, like Akira defined that decade as being one of the best animes of, if not the best anime of that decade.
Yeah, this is where
Ghost in the Shell, also from the 90s.
Yeah.
Outside of Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, and maybe a couple others, I don't remember anything being...
Well, things like Ninja Scroll being imported and things like Fist of the North Star being imported, those come from Akira.
Right.
Like, Akira is what
100%.
started these things.
It opened the door. And again,
it opened the door.
And anime before that, like we mentioned with Vampire Hunter D, I don't think that's coming over without... Like, even though it was 2 years before, I don't think it's coming over without Akira.
Speed Racer on MTV back in the 90s as well.
Well, before this, most of what we got, I don't even think we got like much of like Gundam and things like that. It was harder to find.
We had depending on where you were at, we had Robotech, which was a mishmash of Macross, a couple of the Macross shows.
It was basically whatever a studio could get their hands on and cut to ribbons.
We
basically.
had Voltron.
What they could get their
Voltron.
hands on for as cheap as
But
possible to put out
you had
content.
your Voltrons, your Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, you had
Before
Battle
that,
of the
you had,
Planets,
like,
which
your,
was Gotcha Man.
Record of the Lodos War, did that come over?
That was
beforehand?
not on television.
It was not on
Yeah.
television?
No.
Was that
I think
movies?
that was.
Okay.
I think
was-
that was tapes.
It's
Yeah.
on. Yeah, there was 12 volumes of VHS tapes for Record of Lodos War, and it was $199 if you wanted to watch it.
Was there also an OVA of that?
There might be an OVA of it, but
I
that
want to say
came
that's
later.
probably the main thing that people
That came later.
I could be completely talking about it, but
Right.
before this,
Anyway.
it was things like localizations of Astro Boy and
Right.
what was the Gigantor, which was
Yeah.
I can't remember. What it was
Maybe
called in Japan.
even 8-Man.
Yeah, but this again opens up so much.
Mm-hmm.
If you are watching the anime that you are watching today and you really like, get on your knees and thank Akira, because that's what did it.
Especially,
Pray to Akira.
Yeah.
especially,
Just don't be on a bridge when you do it.
Yeah,
especially if you like any sort of over the top hyper violence, because you don't get that in most animes now.
Yeah.
Even with the big fighting animes, like if you like gore and things of that nature, and there's not that many horror animes that show that much gore. Corpse Party, in case you're wondering, that's one of them. But Akira introduced high sci-fi, high violence, graphic nature in multiple different levels.
Yeah.
This is probably the most mature anime that I've seen.
Oh wow.
They really don't make them anymore like this. They really not on that level.
Edge Runners comes close.
Edge Runners comes close.
But that's also Studio Trigger, and
The
that's
Studio
very
Trigger.
stylized and over the top. Like
Yeah.
it's meant to be over the top, which to me cuts against the grain of the violence. Stuff like Genocyber, which I'm going to talk about. Just very
that's a
briefly.
90s anime too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is consistently violent over and over again, to the point where it's not that it's over the top and so it cuts against it. It's you get worn out by it's like, how many more times can I see a human body ripped apart and mutated? Genocyber.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And what was that? Was it Devil City
Shinjuku. Yeah.
Angels.
I think it's Demon City.
Demon
City Shinjuku.
Yeah, and then Angel's Egg. These are other things that like
Doomed Megalopolis.
these are things that came over because of
M66.
I want to say like there was a
I'll say Wicked City.
Yeah.
Wicked City.
Like for better or worse.
Yeah,
And for most
right.
part, for better.
Right.
But for better or worse, the doors to Japanese animation opened up in 1989 for the United States with Akira being released.
yeah. I want to say like tape was the most way to get it, but there were also some people who smuggled in prints and were able to do screenings of it, and that that also
I
helped.
imagine. Well,
Akira had full on like screenings in the United States, but I think most
in
of
bigger
the West
maybe not
cities.
necessarily smuggling, but like there was people who were able to get their hands on.
They
prints.
had a Hollywood premiere for Akira. I want to say in '89 when the dubbing happened.
But yeah, so I guess I think we pretty much said. Is there
Everything.
anything else that about Akira?
I think
that we want to?
or anime really. I think we pretty much have already said it.
Yeah. Again, I implore you, if you have not watched this, and you're okay with scenes of violence and attempted sexual assault, then just one scene of that.
Yeah.
I'll put it to the passengers. Passengers, what did you think of our review, and what are some other things from the world of anime that you'd like us to review? Let us know.
Yeah, maybe something that statistically it would be probably something that Jay doesn't like, but
Statistically, that is correct.
but
It does like
even
some.
with as much respect as I've paid onto this, my recommendation is mild because of the history of what this represents. For me, I feel that the story has enough gaps that it gets under my skin, and it kind of weird. But again, the art and the artistry here are second to none.
Yeah.
They hold up to this day. Like we've like repeated over and over again in this entire thing. it is something worth watching at the very least. If I were going to recommend it for its historical and cultural
Oh, yeah.
value and what it meant for American otaku, I will say that. And this is our door into that world.
Yeah.
I'll say that there are some stories that transcend their art form, and then a lot of people look at anime and go, "That's anime," and I go, "That's an animated film, maybe based in a genre like that's a horror movie." Corpse Party is a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's animated, but that doesn't take or give anything extra except for maybe some things that you'd have to do CGI for and whatnot. The acting's there, the the physicality is there, and I think Akira is not just one of the best anime representations, but it's one of the best movies that are in that genre of cyberpunk high sci-fi.
Well, I think if you're gonna rank sci-fi movies, it should be on the list somewhere.
I think for a minute it was in the top 100 movies of all time.
Pretty high up, I think. Like this is it is it's a spectacle, but there's also, I think there's meat on the bone. It asks some interesting questions. The just thinking about the world that
there's
that,
a lot
that's
of
in
there's
there.
a lot of philosophical things going on in that movie.
Yeah, and we didn't touch on much on that, mostly because I'm tired and I don't want to think about those questions.
Right.
Yeah, Ethan, what you got? What final thoughts
With
you got?
me not ever seeing this movie, I went into it understanding like the significance of it, the impact that this
Historical.
the historical impact that this movie has on many franchises that
I'm going to be a little pedantic. I don't think you understood the historical significance.
I'm
I think you were aware of it from watching this.
That's a better.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of one of like, open your eyes, son.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was very aware of the significance and impact that this movie had on a lot of things that I grew up enjoying and loving to this day, and this is one of the movies that I am so glad I was I'm able to watch because of this show.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
I like hearing that.
that's one of the goals of the show, to introduce Ethan to better shit.
Yeah.
Yes. Expand my mind.
Yes.
So yeah, again, like if I were to like make a short list of like sci-fi movies for somebody to watch, this would definitely be on it. This to me, this would probably be in the top 5 movies that I would choose to show somebody this is what sci-fi is. Like, I think, again, we've impressed upon it so much. We're just kind of repeating ourselves now, but like this is one of the most important works of anime. Definitely, this is like, it's very hard to outdo this. Even when it comes to like Miyazaki movies, like some of the levels of detail aren't present in that.
It's also a different art style
in some of them,
right?
And it is a different art style and everything like that. And again, I'm not saying that either is better, because some of my favorite movies of all time are Miyazaki movies. Right. But like, even then,
I would like to come back to this, because not anytime soon, but like sometime later this year, I would like us to hit either Princess Mononoke or Nazca: The Valley of the Wind.
Oh yeah,
I'm down for any of those.
Not for any passengers. If I've whetted your appetite and you want it sooner, let us know. But that'll be further down the line. I would like to.
I'm down.
While this is now, at least within this year, fresh in our minds, I would like to see something like something from Studio Ghibli, particularly the earlier Ghibli works, particularly the pre-Ghibli works. There being Nazca of the Valley of the Wind.
Yeah, Nazca is definitely.
Oh, I'm always down to watch that. That's one of my favorite movies.
I love.
All right, so hopefully we have. If you haven't seen Akira, before you watch this, before you listen to this, you went and watched the movie, because we just spoiled the shit out of it. But I don't think it's a movie, because
still watch it.
Well, there's so much visual that I think we're pretty good with not like I could tell you the whole synopsis and you still like I couldn't do it justice, because we are not wordsmiths. We cannot We cannot paint pictures with our words, and even if we could, I don't think we could do this justice. So hopefully, if you haven't watched this, I dearly hope that you do go out and experience this. It is not a hard movie to watch. to find at least. You might find if violence is a problem, you might have a problem with it.
If body horror is an issue,
If body horror is an issue,
Yeah.
you might have a problem with it. I do want to give those little warnings up top. But if all that sounds, if anything that we've talked about sounds cool, I hope that you do go see it. I hope that if you are, if you've already watched this, I hope that this brought back fond memories of the first time that you ever watched Akira. I watched it in my car. Waiting for my next class at junior college on a portable DVD player.
Nice.
The only true way to watch Akira.
Did you watch it in a Honda Acura?
I watched it in a Hyundai Elantra.
Okay.
I watched it.
Akira in an Acura would be amazing.
I watched it on a reel-to-reel videotape machine in somebody's den.
Yeah.
I watched this on my phone in my bed. There we go.
I watched this in Kincannon Hall, which has been, I believe, is about to or is going to be demolished. 1999 on a well-worn videotape in the commons room down at the bottom with about 20 other people, we're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. If you listen to stories, that's usually what it is. But again, I hope that we brought back fond memories. And I hope that we impressed upon you just the care and talent that went, and dedication, passion that went into this movie. So yeah, that's gonna be our main topic. I'm gonna do whiskey and wrestling because I have the power and nobody can take it from me. You can pry it from my cold dead hands. Whiskey and Wrestling is a podcast by our friends Jason Holder and Michael Hill. They talk about wrestling. Although they might be trying to transition to something fucking else because the wrestling is like it sucks right now in a lot of ways, but it's really good in other ways. So maybe they'll talk about that. They also talk about drinks. They said they might be starting to do some mixers, some cocktails with the stuff that they've made because buying a bottle of alcohol every week is hard.
I can imagine.
Michael Hill and his wife, because when they get married, that happens. They have student debt, so
Shared student debts now.
Yeah, it all goes. Yeah, you can't bankrupt your way out of that one. So, if that sounds interesting, if any of my incoherent rambling sounds interesting, please check them out wherever podcasts are listened to.
Wait, I have a soundtrack. Hang on, where I have sound effects. Okay, there we go. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that could either be a record scratch or a fart.
There you go. I don't know.
Speaking
You
of,
decide what it is.
yeah. It's like the picture with the duck and the rabbit. It's however you look at it. Jay, you tell him one.
Bearded Drums. Stephen Nelson II and Jarrett Taylor, our good friend Jarrett Taylor, host a podcast all about drumming, including live performances that I believe Stephen sometimes engages in, as he is a professional drummer of over 16 years. Jarrett was in the Mississippi State Marching Band, I believe, for a couple of years as well. Very good insights into the world of drumming. And they also, in addition to being on all major platforms, they're also on YouTube with the video version of the podcast. So check that out. Bearded Drums.
It's just like watching Drumline. I don't know if that's true or not.
Nick Cannon shows up and has like 3 babies,
Yeah.
which is what he's
Just
equipped
bring
for.
it.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't have
On.
the babies. He leaves them with the women.
Yeah. Save the Last Dance.
I don't think Nick Cannon was in
10
that.
things I hate about you.
The Bourne Identity.
All right. Virology is a show.
Hey. Jody, give us a podcast.
Kevin Shelton and Jared Hubbard host a show called Silence Your Cell Phone.
Now we did Fearology now. That
Where-
counts.
Wait a minute. All right, there we go.
Fucking late. We're not going back.
that's fair.
No take backsies.
That's fair. That's fair. Where they talk mainly about horror movies and horror movie TV shows and things of that nature. No, I'm kidding. Silence Your Cell Phones. They talk about things and streaming and stuff. Check them out. They're on all the platforms.
Ethan.
The Completed Podcast, hosted by Christopher Vega, Brendan Scott Tanner, and Brandon Smith. They go into deep dives on competitive Magic, casual Magic. They have really planned out and thoughtful interviews with professional Magic players. Brendan Scott Tanner, he is a Pro Tour player. they talk about experiences with going to conventions, tournaments, an absolutely awful experience about Outback Steakhouse. Check them out, the Completed Podcast.
And speaking of magic, if you would like to get yourself some magic cards, or guess what? They got Lorcana.
Yep, Lorcana.
Lorcana is actually easy to get, and prices are relatively decent,
Reasonable
except for
prices.
some assholes, not McNarb Gaming.
Yeah.
Some assholes not named McNarb Gaming are still selling it for outrageous prices.
Oh,
Absolutely
no.
not.
Don't go there.
I wonder
Go
what
to
I can get.
McNarb
Come
Gaming
to McNarb
instead.
Gaming and get your Lorcana needs. Also, if you got any RPG, D&D especially, you want some Hero Clicks, they got that too.
You want
Come
some
on,
Star Wars Legion?
yeah, Star Wars Legion, they got some of that.
Star Wars Shatterpoint.
You want Age of Sigmar? Fuck you, they don't have this.
Century Spice
They got the
Road.
paints though.
If you want
Acquire.
board games,
You want some paints? They got board games as well. They got too many copies of one game that Greg thought was really cool. Jesus Christ.
Nope, that's staying in.
I don't.
They don't listen to this.
Attention, that's staying in. Sorry.
They don't listen to this show.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Greg doesn't listen to this.
I'll pitch an idea that won't happen. Good morning, McNarb, where they talk. I don't know.
Jesus.
10 seconds, elaborate on Good Morning McNarb.
pitch it to us.
Oh no, we'll get one of the 5 errands that are at the shop, and they'll talk about how awesome it is to play D&D with people that don't know how to run the game.
Your 10.
Your 10 seconds is up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That
so,
joke fell flat.
Yeah. That.
No, I got a rim shot. There you go.
Okay.
There you
Cool.
go.
Better than a rim job. Ah!
Ooh, and on that flat tire of a joke, we'll lip on into the station and finish this shit up because it's super fucking late
It's
for
really
us.
fucking late.
What are you talking about? This is normal hours. for me.
Fuck you.
Unfortunately.
Some of us are actually on human hours now, so
You're human.
yeah.
Wow.
According to my last test.
I'm totally human. 100%.
Okay, he's fucking around with the
go.
with the soundboard now. So
Let's to get
time
us the
to
fuck out
go.
of here.
yeah, we got to get the fuck out of
Let's
here.
get the
So
fuck
for
outta
Travers on the
here.
Omnibus, I am Brady Davis.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm Jody One Kenobi.
And I am James Mall.
Cool.
I'm Darth James. That's why I turned you to Darth.
Oh, okay, Darth James Maul. Yeah,
The headphones are off.
yeah, that's about.
Jody.
Jody is
Don't
leaving
you
the
act
studio.
like- you started this bullshit
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah,
and then he just continued
You
it.
get back here. Damn it.
It's
All right.
your fault.
It's your
It's your fault, Jody.
hold on, I got a sound effect for that. There we go.
All right, I'm back. What's up?
Stop recording. It's time.
Thanks
Fuck
for
it.
stopping by and enjoying the ride.
Yeah.